Lindenhurst is a village of 27,000 on the south shore of Long Island, New York. These are the people who grew up there and their stories. Everyone I know is from Lindenhurst. So, Derrick, you're one of the most talked about people on our podcast. So it's good to have you on finally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been waiting for this day.
you're a common thread. Finally, being from Lindenhurst has done anything for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's get started. Let's talk about your family roots in Lindenhurst.
Yes. Yeah, so it's a regular old tale there. Got my grandparents on my father's side moved out here from Flushing, Queens in 1954 to Heathcote Road, and Heathcote was still trying to be developed at the time, so there weren't a lot of houses. There was a Levitt house, so there was just like a row of Levitt houses happening. I think they bought it for something.
East side of Strait Path, like the other side of
Yeah,
Firehouse.
325
Gotcha.
East Heathcote Road. Yeah.
I lived on 53 Heathcote Road, which is the other side of
Yes.
Wellwood
Yes.
there.
I did not know that.
I think later you lived like on 51st or something like over there, right?
52nd, yeah.
Yeah.
52nd.
So we were right in the hood with John Pannone and Zons Park and all that.
Yep. Oh, Zons Park. That's dark. That gets dark quick. So my grandparents, I think they bought their house in 54 for 17,000, I was told. Which they sold in the late 90s for, somewhere in the 300s, wherever that was. I don't know what that translates to as far as 50s to 90s inflation or whatever, but it was probably pretty sweet.
They turned a little nickel on that one.
I would assume so, yeah. And then on my mom's side, she grew up in Bayshore. She was adopted, and her adopted family lived in Lindenhurst, and I think she moved there in her early teens sometime. I'm not sure when. So that was sort of the migration to Lindy.
And you came along in the 80s.
That's right. I was conceived on South 8th Street, as I was told many times by a proud papa.
Okay.
In Dave's house?
Who would awkwardly, at Wickerly's house, yeah. He would awkwardly drive by and point to the house. See, that's where you were conceived. I'm like, sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dumb question. Did they live there?
Yeah, well, valid question. I don't even know the answer, honestly. I never thought to ask. Yeah.
That was you just didn't that was omitted from your statement, so I figured it's worth it.
Yeah. Yep. I grew up on East John Street. That was the first like house I remember. That was really great. Right across the street from like this weird church that had those illuminating columns.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing.
We'll get there later, but I can recall the month and a half that walking there with you. We would walk up that block, and you would say every day, "I lived here,"
Right.
And maybe you and James went to preschool together or something like that. Am I getting that wrong? Or
me and James went to preschool together at Saint Boniface, which was
Saint Boniface.
Yeah, Saint
up
Boniface.
on Sunrise.
Yeah, Sunrise Highway right there. Yeah, that was a weird cool connects with James. But yeah, this other church or preschool thing, are all preschools and churches? Anyway.
I think they seem to have that racket run.
Yeah.
You would know.
Yeah.
Your kid go to church?
Mine was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard she actually just started childcare. She's 2, but it's it's just in a regular old school.
Secular.
Yeah, secular.
Gotcha.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah, that was great. That was that was like the Hurricane Gloria era. East John Street, Fireman's Park right there. That's when they had like all those like the circus would come to town, and you could like I have like photos of me like riding an elephant in Fireman's Park. I don't know.
The Cole Brothers Circus, which was the cheap circus where they apparently abused animals very much and
Right.
terribly,
And was that
would pop up in the backfield behind Fireman's Pavilion.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember there being like a fly by night tent kind of set up, and then at the time it felt like there were thousands of people there, but it probably was just like a couple hundred, right?
A couple hundo, yeah.
It felt like the biggest thing, at the time. But and we moved all over. I was my mom was like a single mom for a while. So we bounced around, and so yeah, I was on East John. I was on 52nd Street. That was sweet. We had like a nice crew of people on that block. When I was growing up, it was like Ryan Brennan, Chris Connell, the Anaya household, all three Anayas, and a few others, and we just were nuts. We were just like crazy kids doing insane things. Like we were all like around like 11 or 12, and just like it coalesced into like this crazy, like whatever it was, like skateboarding, roller hockey, manhunt, I don't know, all the good stuff.
I'm sure I was scared of you living in the same neighborhood, being a fat younger boy, keeping to myself.
Oh yeah,
I was a group of other kids.
Yeah, I was
running around.
I was the youngest in that era, and I'm an only child, so that was the first time I had like a group of like kids around my age, all boys. And so like, first I got picked on a bunch, and I was, if we were doing wrestling, I was always the one getting body slammed, and I'd like, run to my mom crying like, Anthony body slammed me, and then I realized like this is just how you play with other boys, like,
Yeah.
But there's like a learning curve there. But yeah, we used to like, I was also, because I was the youngest in the group, to your like thing, like if there was a kid to go pick on or do something, I was always like all right, Sherm, go, like I always had to like steal the thing or go, whatever the worst thing was, I had to do it.
You had to start the trouble, and then they finished it, basically.
Yeah, they told me what to do, and I was the yes man, or else, I was gonna get a whooping. So
you were their minion.
Yeah, that was it.
North Lindenhurst, you're in Rawl, correct?
Yeah, Willie Rawl.
And you're there for all of elementary school?
I did my no, because I did my I lived shortly I lived shortly on Allegheny Street, right across from the baseball field at Fireman's Park. And
gotcha.
So I did 1 or 2 years at Daniel Street, and then we moved up to Rawl. But funny story about the Allegheny Street house. Our house was like an integral part, well, our apartment, but it was, like the house was like an integral part of this like raid operation where like the FBI, they're like, we had like 4 or 5 like SWAT dudes on our house. One time they were taking down like a local like kingpin of some sort of local thing, and there was like,
and your house was of interest?
No, it was just like a landing pad for them to like have like,
they had like a clear,
view.
They had a clear shot or whatever they
I don't think they were shooting or anything, but they were just like a clear view of the house,
scope
and the
shit
takedown,
out.
and like but they're like guys like propelling from like the side of the house. I remember I was like 7. I thought it was like the coolest thing, but
definitely.
So, but eventually you ended up on, was it Monroe?
In high school, or just before high school,
Macon.
we moved to Macon. Yeah,
Macon. Sorry, it was M. I remember because it was after Lennox.
Right. Yeah.
Where
it took me...
How far can you go on the alphabet from Allegheny?
Oh,
this is a game we should play on this podcast.
That is,
more.
But if you listen once, you'll probably get a cheat. Yeah. Was there an A? Just let's start off with the bat.
Allegheny is the A.
Is it? Allegheny, Bendix, Clinton, Delaware.
Different.
No, that's not the alphabet, boys.
Different alphabet. Alphabet.
Wait, then which way are you going?
That one is Allegheny, Broome, Clinton, Delaware, Erie, Fulton, Greene, Hamilton, Indiana, Jefferson, Kings, Lewis, Monroe, Niagara, Ontario, Putnam, Queens.
Wow, that's impressive. Good job.
And I want to say the other one going the other way.
Yeah, I was thinking like the north
I don't
to
know how
south
far,
and Wellwood.
Yeah.
right. So the north to south on Wellwood, it goes the other way where it ends on Perry, and I can go from what's Weckerly's block?
We should know this.
Let's dox him. What's his address and social security number?
The funeral parlor block.
Yeah.
It doesn't go through, so it doesn't matter anyway. But going from around there, it's like Fremont, Gary, Hartford, Macon, Newark, Oxford, then Perry, and then that's it. But it might go to A.
Right.
But those are the alphabetical things on Linden. It's also Albany, Buffalo, Catskill.
Oh yeah, weird.
So anyway,
it took
by
me
Albany
a long time
Avenue
to realize that everything was alphabetized like that. I'm a slow learner.
Letters all mean anything.
Yeah. Coming from the mean streets of North Lindy, it was like, these aren't numbers. What's this?
Yeah, what the fuck is a Sherbrooke?
Yeah.
okay, so that was
Copeg Road. This isn't Copeg.
That was junior high time that you moved in around there.
Yeah, so yeah,
Okay.
I moved like either late junior high or the very first year of high school. Moved on to Macon Street, right behind Nolan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And also they're on Lennox, him and Pat Garrity.
Could see your room from his pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
You could see his pool from your roof, which is what I remember someone who I won't name saying here, because someone was mad at some people on the swim team once in high school, if you remember this.
Yeah. Yeah.
For some chicanery and hazing.
Ooh. Let the record show. Yeah. Let's just omit that. Yeah.
So, okay. So what were you getting into around that time? I know you were playing sports as a kid. Yeah.
Big sports guy.
Yeah.
You were an American Little Leaguer, right?
I think I have the dubious distinction of being a National Leaguer and an American Leaguer.
Whoa.
Because I was, like I said, I lived on Allegheny, so T-ball and maybe like whatever the first thing after T-ball, National League, and then crossing over to the, what I thought was the Superior Park, the American League, town hall. That thing was amazing. But yeah, I loved.
Yeah, I know a couple hundred kids that might disagree with you.
Right.
But
well,
it's all I knew.
Yeah.
So
I had a taste of National League, and that just felt like a little square. I don't know. It felt like I don't know, like organized and like nice. And then like the American League just seemed like this illicit thing where like they're just bad kids playing, and you're like, wow, you're trying to hit home runs out of that park, and like, yeah, that spot ruled.
Free hot dog and chips.
Yeah, do you remember Laurel Park? That was the
of course
debate. That was like the alternate to if you couldn't play under like the the lights of Town Hall.
Right. Well, there were multiple games going on at a time. So you were playing there. You were playing at Kellam at times. You were playing at Albany Avenue at times. Laurel Park, now named Kelly Eyring Field.
Oh, wow.
Which, as someone in need of a kidney transplant myself, she was someone who received a kidney transplant from her boyfriend at the time, and they named the field after her.
Damn, that's awesome.
So were you going to get a field?
So fun one.
One day.
I'm hoping for a kidney before a field.
Right. Yeah.
First things first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If you build it, they will come.
I'll take a field wherever.
This is so I literally don't remember where Laurel was, but I have so many vivid memories of playing there, but I couldn't tell you if someone's like.
So if you're going up Straight Path by the town pools north, you would make a right into that neighborhood before you cross over the train tracks.
Okay.
And it's over there, and the back of the field, the train tracks run alongside the side of that field. I don't know if you can recall a train passing by ever when you're playing, but that happened. That's like that weird freight line that goes by Town Hall or whatever over there.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. That was something that's like one of those random things, I think about every now and again.
The way that Levittown has like weird fucking bowling alleys and town pools in the middle of every neighborhood, Lindenhurst has like baseball fields for no reason and drainage sumps.
They do have a lot of sumps. Heathcote Road had a 6 sump. I would climb the fence in there when I was a wee lad, and I don't know, literally kick rocks.
But nothing beat the Zons Park sump.
Dude,
that was like sump heaven. If you saw another sump after that, you're like, this isn't a fucking sump.
So what kind of sump is this? You call that a sump?
Uh-huh.
We're number sump.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going on some merch. Okay, so during this
Yeah.
time, at what point do you discover music
Oh
and get
man.
interested in it?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, let's see. So I was always a really big music guy, thanks to my parents. They were both very much music people. My dad was like really oddly into what I guess he dodged the Vietnam draft and he lived in Jamaica for a little while. Like he literally like hid out in the hills of Kingston. And so he just
Great plan.
yeah, amazing. So he just you know was feeling like an amazing time in the 70s or whatever to be in
Yeah.
Jamaica. So he was big into reggae. So he, all throughout the 80s when I was a kid, we just listened to so much reggae. And that was, you know, a huge impact. And then my mom, she was like, you're a classic like 80s person. She loved The Cure, Depeche Mode, In Excess, all that.
Yeah.
So like that have like so many vivid memories of listening to those things. And so yeah, like listening to music as a fan since a very, very early age, like 4 or 5 years old, I was like really like, I had my own taste of stuff, obviously through my parents, but like I wasn't listening like I don't even know if kid songs existed then as far as like the kids bop kind of things that we hear
Mm.
now, but like whatever that
Uh-huh.
stuff was, I was like, give me, kiss me from The Cure, give me like like whatever Bob Marley, this is what I'm getting into. And then um like you kind of reference like playing as a kid getting older doing like the sport thing. um I didn't find like my music friends until I moved to Macon Street. Nolan, Pat Garrity, Chris Schaefer, Mike Michaelos, um, and which Pat forgot to mention, but there was a third person who also went to lessons at at Guitar
Yeah.
Masters, and that was me. We were
Yeah.
the three of us would get our
Yeah.
chops together. Mike Michaelos and Pat were so far ahead of me, like instantly. Like they had,
That they forgot you even went with
yeah,
them.
they're like he literally doesn't exist. Like, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, but so in that seventh, eighth grade time, whatever, we, um, like just doing all the mainstream alternative stuff, learning Nirvana songs, and then the Foo Fighters right after that, and then, Oasis, all that kind of stuff. Like,
Alice in Chains, all that stuff.
yeah, Primus, as you've mentioned. Yeah.
Mm.
Um,
Hell yeah.
uh, yeah, so like it was really that was early on, like 12 or 13 years old doing that stuff. Um, and then like so that was like the first group of friends I had that like where I had friends that shared musical interest and we like were doing tangible things like let's pick up a guitar, let's I don't know, do something.
Did you want to get a guitar because you saw them with guitars, or was it like, let's all fucking get guitars?
No, it was yeah, I don't know if I don't know. I feel like they just all kind of appeared at the same, like it was like this, I don't know. I know for me personally, I remember I think it was seventh grade. I wish I remember her name because she had such an impact on what I do. But it was a female music teacher. She was younger. She had long brown hair. She played guitar.
Right, Miss Riley?
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember.
I think that's who it was, because I had her as well, and same thing. Like she played guitar, brought in a
Yes,
guitar, played Nirvana songs for
yes.
us,
She
and like did a whole 2 month thing on the Beatles and like the history of rock and roll, and
yes.
very open to getting kids to into music, in like a real tangible way.
So
Yeah,
she was
her
instantly the coolest teacher you've ever had. Like,
dude,
Definitely.
by far. She yeah, I remember it was the first time I was able to feel an amplifier,
mm,
like from however many feet away.
Mm.
And I just remember it's like some sort of like Fender amp, like a
yep.
Hot Rod or a DeVille or something. And I think she had a Strat and she played a Hendrix song. And it literally in that moment, I was like, I got to play guitar. That's it. And then it just kind of all coalesced like that happened. So I got Riley happening. My mom started to date her now husband who played guitar, so I thought he was the coolest. And then, meeting Pat and Mike, and then it seeming like it was probably a very fast, like all those things happened within a few months of each other. So yeah, we all started to do that. And then sometime around that time in junior high, seeing, the PWAC starting to happen, and, you see like the fight singers, I knew Chris fight singer from playing football. He's like 1 or 2 years.
Right, because he's more around your age. Cliff is a few years older.
Right. And then so he was really, the fight singers were my gateway into that, because like Chris would be like, hey, I don't know, like Cliff's friends are all going to the PWAC and whatever. And I remember like rolling up to like PWAC, like skinhead shows, like with a Primus shirt on, and just, being made fun of, and then being like, oh, this sucks, but this is crazy. I'm definitely going to keep coming here. This is sick. And that was really the genesis of, music, finding like-minded people, I guess.
Yeah, and then eventually getting into high school, like that crew starts Negative Influence, which you eventually join.
Also, something Pat forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Yes, but actually, it's kind of funny listening back to the Pat and Nolan stuff. I guess more so that the Pat stuff. I realized that I joined every band he was in like after he was gone, or like, because I was in From Within, I was in Negative Influence, and then I was like, what? I was like, I guess I was always just like one step behind them. You know what I'm saying? Like they were on to the next thing, and they're like, I guess,
I didn't even know you were in From Within.
Yeah, I used to jam with Greg. I don't even know if I might have been the first guy, and maybe I got the boot. I don't even remember how that, but at some point.
It's all very convoluted around that time. It's just
yeah,
a revolving door. But I do have a very distinct first memory of my first interaction with you. We were playing in Becky Bacon's backyard, I believe, for her 16th birthday. Mm-hmm. She had a show in her backyard on her deck. So I got my drums set up, and you jumped up on stage with your red Epiphone SG,
which I had and eventually bought
like,
from him.
Do you have it there? Oh no.
I have a picture of him with it.
Oh, okay.
Do you still own that? Do you still have it?
No, I'm sorry, I don't. I wish I took better care of your guitar. But
yeah, if there's one thing that I could like go back and tell like anybody.
There it is.
Sick, amazing. Yes.
We'll post that on with the episode, because this is audio only.
Yeah. In your basement.
Yeah, red Epiphone SG, bought from Musicland. Immediately put a Piglet sticker on there from Winnie the Pooh. I don't know.
Of course.
Gotta.
That's how they know you're sad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I wish I never sold any guitar. It would have been so great to, I sold, a guitar to Phil Holly, Sean Dillon, and you. Mm-hmm. And like,
I have the case for the Charvel. The Charvel got destroyed, though. It got thrown into a tree and broken into like a million pieces.
Really unfortunate. Yeah, that is. I'm low-key mad at Phil for that. I don't even know if he's the one that did it, but
he might not have been, but I don't know. Seller beware.
Anyway, Veet.
So anyway, as I was saying, you jumped up on stage and you're like, "Hey man, want to jam on some SOE?" And you started playing the SOE song from the 516 comp.
Oh yes.
And I just remember like watching your left hand and like how intently you were playing it, and I was like, "Oh, Sherman can play."
Derrick's pinch harmonics were fucking on point back then.
Yeah,
he could squeal like no one else.
Dude, I know it's been mentioned, but the 516 comp really was like, that was like the guidebook to like, all right, what kind of like, because that was the first.
Here it is all at once.
Yeah, like, for not, for first getting your toes into, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that was like,
if you were a poser and you wanted to get in,
Oh
That was
man.
your game book
Yeah.
right there.
Off came the Primus shirt, on came, the Silent Majority shirt,
Right?
There was like the
but it was,
Spotify playlist of
Uh-huh.
1996 or whatever.
dude, it was incredible.
Uh-huh.
'Cause, you're like, because there's just so many nuanced styles of hardcore happening that you didn't even know, you're like, am
Yeah.
I
That's the other thing too. Everything sounds different. You know what I mean? I mean, it's all aggressive and heavy music, but everything's a little different on there. Everything kind of has its own sound
But
going
that was
on.
the appeal of the scene for me back then. Like no two bands sounded alike.
To- to- totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember on that comp, yeah, it was like, because there's such a range, you're like, there's guys screaming in like a high, very high pitched thing.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
the low growl
Yeah.
guys. There's
There's Glassjaw, then there's Leech Implant,
right.
then there's fucking Neglect on there
Yeah.
and Motive.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Miss Piggy sounding guy. What,
Yeah.
what was the name of that band?
Yeah. They rocked.
Mm.
Yeah, that but the to what you're saying, Vito, was that was like so important to like, the best you could like learn those
Mhm.
songs and those riffs and like, you know, I think like yeah, like again, like maybe it's from like being an only child and stuff, but it was like so important for me to connect with other people that liked something that I liked and being like, so I guess I'm like jumping on stage and be like, I got the riff, like I don't know, but
Yeah,
it was important for me to find people that, I could, I
yeah,
don't know, share music with.
yeah, absolutely. And well, that was the day that I realized you could play. So I was
Sick.
like, I want to play in a band with this guy now. And eventually we
Did
did. Yeah.
you
We sure did.
did you feel immediately connected when you started going to shows to the music in there? Like, did it actually speak to you, or were you just more psyched on being in a room with that going on? You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a bit of both of that
Yeah,
when you first start going to
it took
shows.
time. There's, at that time it's like, you know, uh you have to find a flyer, just someone that knows what's going on. And,
Mm-hmm.
so you're walking into, like I said, you're walking into like a skinhead show or a ska punk show, or maybe that's a blend of like crazy hardcore ska punk, whatever, whatever. And so, yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, like, um, I know, I think the first bands I remember really resonating with me, like really truly blown. Like I don't know, there's some, yeah, they all did, but they're for different reasons. Like Chimichanga, like was just fun, like and that was cool,
Mm-hmm.
and but like, uh, I don't know, like seeing like One King Down for the first time, that blows you away in a different way. I don't know,
Yeah.
like um,
Right.
but yeah, like there wasn't, yeah, like all of it was great to me. Like I loved, like I could, that's why, like, I don't know, like I loved it all equally. Um and and like even, even while like listening to like that hardcore and ska and punk stuff, like I still equally loved reggae or new wave ska or, like I don't know, I just all of it made such an impression on me at that age. It was just, just like sponge, just like take it all in.
Yeah.
Um
Do you ever feel like it didn't matter what kind of music scene was around you, you would have gotten into any music scene that, you know what I mean, came that close to you?
yeah, most
There was like a hard funk scene or a hard reggae scene or whatever, you know what I mean?
right.
Just live music in general.
Yeah,
And the culture around that is kind of a fun thing to
yeah, I mean probably
engulf yourself in.
I, I draw the line at funk. No,
Oh
I
man.
think no man, no, you got to get funky. Funk is like religion, where it's like the concept is good, but then the
I think I
people,
saw a
the
bumper
people
sticker
ruin
that
it.
says
The
that.
people ruin it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Tool.
Uh,
Tool rocks though. Tool's great. Um, but yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I know, I don't know. The thing that was going on was so special. I don't know if that could ever, you know, I guess I guess every town probably has that thing or feels that way, or at some points, but
And
that felt truly
maybe it's our old man voice speaking, but it could never happen
right.
again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know, it felt you did. I think at some point once it started to like catch on a little bit, if you were earlier, like obviously in our age group, I was a little late to it, but in hindsight, I was very early to it. But it felt like,
Yeah.
you saw the before
Right.
and then what it became. And I think, yeah, at some point you did have the sense of like, whoa, something very special is happening here. You just can feel it, like every show you went to, you're like, oh man, like we're onto something, the collective us, like
Yeah.
there's something special happening.
Yeah. So eventually you joined, and like don't really remember the timeline here, but you joined Negative Influence, but we also started a band which hasn't been mentioned yet on this podcast called Screwhead.
Mm-hmm. Actually,
Right.
Hugo mentioned it on the first pod.
Okay.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
All right.
Screwhead. Yeah, Screwhead was honest. I will honestly
You,
say,
Rob, Chris,
Chris Fitzgerald.
and Vito.
Yep.
yeah, Rob McAllister,
Yeah.
Chris Fitzgerald in a wrestling, always had to wear the wrestling mask,
The sparring helmet. Yeah.
the sparring helmet. Yes,
Yeah.
because he would. Part of the bit was that he would snuff himself, which means punch himself. Sometimes with the
For
microphone.
those of you that didn't go to high school in the suburbs, snuff is a thing that herbs get.
Snuff yourself.
For herbing out too much, you get snuffed. Yeah.
Snuff.
But,
Being too much of a herb.
But yeah,
To bring it back quickly, when I was in 9th grade, I don't know why you guys decided to let me sit at your lunch table, but I sat with you, Rob, Chris, and Meg Fiore,
that was a wild table.
which is a weird thing for freshman me to be sitting at. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to smoke weed right in the cafeteria, right at the table. Yeah. That's wild.
Definitely.
Yeah.
that's
I
probably happening
was
legally
like,
now.
Yeah.
I was trying my best to get into everything related to shows in the scene as I could, and I was listening to Syosset High School Radio. That AT from Sprout had a
Oh,
show
wow.
that I listened to
Yeah.
every week called From the Bottom, and he would talk about shows going on, and I would always come in and be like, "Hey guys, you know that Chimpy Chang is playing at Max Speak Bowl this weekend."
That's amazing. Yeah.
You were always able to go like a layer
Uh-huh.
deeper than all of us, John. I don't know. Like your finger was on the pulse.
I've been called Snapple Fact, and
Yes.
that, or it might be latent autism or something like that.
I think we called
but
you our Matt Pinfield for a while back in the day.
Yes. Yeah, you were the shitty Matt
Right.
Pinfield. Yeah.
And I actually stumped him on that Stump Matt Pinfield shit once on MTV. But
What do you mean?
Yeah, anyone. They had a thing where you called into, before it was Total Request Live, it was MTV Live, and they had an 800 number that you would call, and it would. Did you ever call an 800 number to try to win anything in the radio when you were younger?
Probably, yeah.
Only the sexy numbers you'd find on the cards when I was like 12. Yeah.
If you did, you rarely got a dial tone, and if it would just be like busy no matter what. So when I heard it was ringing, I freaked out. They pick up the phone. They're like, "You're gonna, you'll hear a beep when you go live." And I asked him what was the last song Operation Ivy played in their last show, and I said Unity. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I think I read it in a zine or something. And that was it. They said they'd send me a T-shirt, and they never sent me a T-shirt.
He was probably
and
salty.
I don't have the tape with that on there. I remember when he showed up at a Thursday show too. He started showing up at shows for a while.
He was standing behind me during Coheed and Cambria once, just flipping out.
I talked to him once very early on in my touring days, playing like whatever iteration of Skate and Surf Fest, and
he's a Jersey guy, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, you would know.
So, yeah.
Pinfield Light.
I get sure. Let me check his baseball card.
Yeah, he but he it was real. I didn't think much like you are, John, like he's just able to recite facts at you while talking to you, and he's like, "Oh, Derrick Sherman, cousins with Ba, and da 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 da." I'm like, "Yes, like that is me. Hi," so funny. But
so he doesn't have to listen to this episode.
I'll try to talk with you guys and not at you guys.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's why you keep it real, John.
We were also in the same gym class, so it's very funny to me to think back to me, you, and Rob McAllister playing fucking football at like 10 in the morning on a weekday ever.
Sick.
Let alone every other day.
Were we on the amazing badminton team where we rock badminton? Were you a part of that? I feel like you were.
I don't recall. We were on a volleyball team where Derek Springer spiked the ball in my face.
Ooh. Only fight I've ever been in is with Derrick Springer. Dad, not Derrick.
Was it related to Little League?
Yeah,
his dad ran the Little League, from what I remember.
He threw me out of a game, and I was really pissed. But anyway, getting back to Screwhead, honestly, I was thinking about this a lot since Hugo had mentioned it and stuff. Might literally be my favorite project I've ever done musically. It was a power violence band.
Yeah.
And like me and Rob McAllister really went in on like CR and Army Jacket.
Yeah.
And like it was like really important for Rob and Vito, but it was really important for us to like get like the spirit of power violence, like we had to nail it. You know what I'm saying? And I remember Rob, like we would just be playing like 007 at his house.
Yep.
And we would just keep spinning the same 7 inches, and you have to like flip it over like every minute and a half. And but yeah, like we would just wear out
3 40-second songs.
Yeah. And that was a thing.
If that.
And what was so cool about Screwhead was it really truly was like making music with people for like in a pure artistic way. And it wasn't to like I don't know, just the way you start thinking about things, like, oh, if we do this, that's cool. Or it was literally like, nah,
no,
man.
it was just whatever came out.
Yeah. It was pure, and it was raw, and it was sick. And I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Do you have that tape anywhere, Vito? Do you have
it's up on SoundCloud, I believe.
Oh,
I'll send it to you. Yeah.
That's unreal. Yeah, I'd love to.
I ripped it to, I believe, SoundCloud.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, I lost all that cool stuff. Do you also, speaking of weird, cool projects, Vito, do you remember we did that like trip hop Portishead style trippy song?
I was going to bring that up later because like you're kind of doing that now, and you figured that out 20-something years later.
Yeah, it was.
But I am sitting.
Was that with Anna Usenza?
I don't know if she sang on that. Did she? I think
I remember you having something on a 4-track that she sang on.
Oh no, this was totally different.
That I listened to fucked up in your house one night.
Yeah, no, this is totally different. This is one of my coveted pieces of music, partly because I lost the tape, so I don't know if you have a copy of it. But like basically it started kind of like what I was saying before, like although like at that point I guess me and Vito had started the waiting process, and we have the power violence band and we're doing all this stuff. I still also loved other styles of music, and I was enamored with Portishead, and Vito had like this drum book with like paradiddles and stuff in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Zorro book, The Commandments of R&B Drumming. And he had like some hip hop and R&B beats written out, and I'm like, yo, let's try and do something like this.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know what it was, but I just brought my 4-track down there, and we
right where I'm sitting
we
currently
recorded a bunch of different, or probably not probably Vito did a bunch of like different patterns, and then I put some trippy stuff on it. And I don't know why, that was like, I probably never had mentioned that to you, Vito, but yeah, that I would play that tape everywhere, like anywhere that someone would listen, I would press play on that thing. I thought that was the coolest, like 3 minutes of music or 5 minutes of music, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was cool. Like, when we did something different, and like just hearing it back, like, oh, this is like not, this is not what we expected to come out of us. A bunch of punk kids. Yeah.
But yeah, so where are we in our timeline here? I know we're kind of ping-ponging.
So I guess the beginning of the waiting process, which I did not originally play drums in, Paulie Wozniak did. Shout out.
Wait,
Paulie.
Was I not in the waiting process first either? No, I named the band. I definitely
WCF
was.
fam.
Paulie played first?
Yeah, there was no other guitarist before you.
Yeah. I finally got a band.
Well, it was originally Supercharger.
Yes. That was from a
White Zombie cover band?
No, I love
Supercharger having
Super Drag, huge Super Drag fan. I found a bicycle at a thrift store called Supercharger 84. and I thought that was, or something like that. So it was 80 something, whatever.
Thunderkiss 65.
Yeah, and I just thought, I was like, I
Yeah.
gotta have Super in the name because of Super Drag.
Ah.
But yeah, so Paulie played.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Yeah,
You might have just had a practice or two. I think you wrote the song Skyline Drive, and then I hopped on shortly after. Yeah.
Skyline Drive. Okay, so that one is awesome. That
Which ones aren't?
uh so the waiting process, me and James McAuliffe started. I don't know what, somehow, we decided we are going to do a band. I don't even know how that happened. Maybe it came out of Negative Influence. I really don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Negative Influence.
At that point was Foreshadow. Negative Influence had changed their name, said the sticker.
Well, yeah, Ninja Nick,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, with so I remember vividly writing Skyline Drive with James in his bedroom on his bed. He had his like weird 5-string purple bass, his Music Master or whatever, and I don't know what I was playing, but he showed me the riff, and like he was like, I want to do something like The Promise Ring, because we were really into like Nothing Feels Good, that record. And so he's like, I really want to do like a Promise Ring band. Here's my Promise Ring riff. Like, great. And then, so he had like the main riff, and we kind of just like took it from there. And then, I asked my good friend from Levittown, Christian Holber, to sing of Crime in Stereo.
Well, it was Schaefer originally singing, and then he left.
Is that how it happened?
Christian.
Yeah. Wow. Was there drama early
Yeah.
on? Early on drums? Yeah.
Probably.
I don't remember that.
Couldn't have been too bad. You took him back.
That's right. Baby, come back. Hey. Yeah. We missed you. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we love you, Chris.
So how did you come to know Christian? Just going to shows?
Oh, yeah. So there's a pretty involved Levittown crossover into the Lindy thing.
He's in the whole Baldwin cousin verse.
Right. That really is so Chris Baldwin and Kim Baldwin, who Vito, you graduated with Kim, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And Chris is Chris, so everyone knows Chris, everyone loves Chris. His house was always like a main hangout spot. But yeah, Christian Holbert is like a second cousin or whatever of the Baldwins. He lives in Levittown. He's good friends with Garrett Tierney and Jesse Lacey and all, Alex Dunn and all those guys. And so anyway, yeah, there's at some point, like through Christian, all these like bleach tip blonde hair, like vegetarian kids were like started hanging out with like all the girls at the parties in Lindenhurst. I'm like, what is it?
Right.
And
you start seeing Travis Riley and all them show up.
Yeah. And you're like, who are these guys? Brandon Riley? Who is this guy? And anyway, so yeah, that was that's how I guess we I just befriended Christian, and then eventually all the what would become the Rookie lot, which would then come brand new. Just that's how we got Christian involved in the Lindy thing.
And we did record a demo, which was never properly released at Brandon's house.
Yep. Took it. And I think, did we record with Brandon? Because did he do the yearly? I think he had just done the yearly demo.
I think he had just done the yearly thing. Yeah. Because I think they showed up during our session at some point.
Were they looking to fight or something? I feel that they'd have like denim jackets and knives. Like, hey, kid, like.
Yeah, like West Side Story.
No one does emo around here.
Wimps.
Yeah.
But
yes.
But I remember Brian Lane recording us on Cakewalk in
with
the
no
bathtub.
click track. I remember this. I remember that you and
I played alone with nothing.
You played to nothing. And then no, I honestly think you and James played together, and what it was, and
maybe
here's what's crazy. There was no phones. There's no way to get the headphones. That's what it was. So James had to play the bass Like
Yes.
James just had to play the bass unplugged or whatever, in like a direct input or whatever,
I just
and Vito
played,
just played, and they just played together. So you can
Wow.
imagine how good the the
somehow it
demo came
worked.
out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
Christian did get us that 1/6 show at the Rock Lobster. That was
Yeah, our first
yeah.
show was the Rock Lobster. It was Yearly's last show. That was
Yeah.
our first show. And I think On the Might of Princes
Yes.
also played.
Uh,
Yeah.
Mike Dubin took photos of us. I thought that was like the coolest thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess that's how we started becoming friends with On the Might of Princess, was from that show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, became good friends with them, started playing around all over Cedar Beach, the Mod Center,
Mm-hmm.
library.
you know, the library.
Shoreham Library.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Those are hard gigs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like about this time in Lindenhurst, like we really kind of changed things. Like people who wouldn't normally show up at shows were showing up at shows.
Yeah, that was getting weird.
And especially like the year after I graduated, which would have been your senior year.
When all the Spanish exchange students showed up to the Life Teen place to see you guys play, you knew something was going on.
Right.
Muy bueno.
I do remember that first Life Teen show. Like,
Uh-huh.
people just lined up to see us outside, and like that was like the first rock star moment there. Like, oh my god, like kids are lining up for
surreal.
us.
You're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the beginning of like the because that was right around the time that like, for lack of better words, like the emo thing was really starting to come into the mainstream. So it's like,
yeah, that's like 98, 99.
Yeah, 99, I would say for sure. So like
there was kind of a little dip in the local scene though, like during that time. Like there wasn't a whole lot happening, but it was just like starting to bubble up. Like obviously Taking Back Sunday are getting together with our song name as a band name.
The Waiting Process, track 5 on our first tape, was the title track was Taking Back Sunday, number 5. And remember we were at a venue called the Long Island Zoo. I think it was a Juliana Theory show, and Ed Reyes, formerly of the Movie Life and a million other bands, comes up to me and he's like, hey, hey man, I got your tape, which I'd given him. Like, I used to give that tape to everybody. Like, I'd show up to.
That's what you did.
Well, yeah. But I was like intent on like, everyone's got to hear this thing, anyway, so Ed came up to me at the show and said, I really like, he's like, the last song on that, the last track on that tape. He's like, I'm thinking about naming my new project, if you're all right with it, Taking Back Sunday. I'm like, yeah, man, go for it. And that was the genesis of that.
You should have just been you should have said hard no.
Yeah.
Not cool.
Yeah.
Think of another name, asshole.
That was definitely flattering at the time.
Bent, dude. Yeah.
Because
Eddie
was a dude in every band
at
that point. All the bands he went to
like, like especially an older guy in all the bands that you loved. You're like, what? No, what? Really? Okay, yeah, dude. Take the name, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he showed up. Well, when we were recording the second EP, he showed up at our session and was hanging out and had a lot of good things to say. So
right, because he's friends with George, so that would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I was your webmaster at the time. I was trying to get my hands involved in the band any way I could. And I made your website, which was like angelfire.com / NY something / it. Yeah.
It's probably got like,
it's still there. Yeah.
Backslashes,
I remember it had
forward slashes.
Might have
hyphens.
Might have a counter at the bottom, a guest book for people to let that they've visited the website, kind of things. But when
guest books, man,
when you put your tape out, you gave me a copy and we're like, thanks, man. I'm like, how much? You're like, don't worry about it. Thanks for the website. And that made my world. And I was like, I'm in. These guys like me. I'm their friend.
So that first tape we recorded with at Night Flight Studios with a guy named John.
Funk, baby.
Bringing it back to the funk. He was a funk bassist, plays in the band Uppercut, who still play all over.
A very funky name.
Yeah. He did our first demo. And then the second EP, we we did with General George up at Pi Studios. Our first experience in like a legit studio, recording to tape.
Yeah.
And
It's a common theme in my life, but the tapes are lost. I could have swore I gave them to James.
I thought you had them.
Right. James had no idea.
Because there is an unreleased like instrumental track on there.
Fittingly called the Swan Song. Yeah. Unreleased, unfinished, slightly unfinished. But yeah. I would love to get my hands on that song too, but I think that one's literally gone forever. Because that was literally on, like you said, on tape, like 2-inch tape or whatever. So like you know, you had
the whole thing recorded and mixed on tape.
Literally cut it if there's an edit, the whole bit. It's awesome.
Old school.
Yeah, the waiting process rocked. It was like such a like like it doesn't hold up really. It doesn't hold up anymore. At the time, it was really good. And it was kind of like one of those things. Like it was kind of the right sound at the exact right moment. And
Sure.
a lot of high school fandom momentum behind it. But yeah, it would have been fun to see what, if we just stuck around for a couple more years, what would have happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Most likely we would have killed each other on tour.
Possible. It's possible.
Yeah. But
that's most
would have been a great story.
Before we move away from high school though, what was your first job and why was it Beverage Land?
Ooh, it wasn't Beverage Land.
Was it Beverage? No, was it Ronald's?
Actually, okay. I think Vito, I think you got me my first job. Captree State Park.
Gotcha.
No, you got me that job.
Rad.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. So yeah, that was, I don't know how I got that job then, but we had a legendary, who was the crew? It was you, me, Chris Nolte.
All of Akin. So
yes.
Phil.
Hell yeah.
Lee too?
Lee was there.
Lee was there, yeah.
Yeah, that's when we started to meet like the Bayshore crew. Like, all right.
Yeah, the Bayshore Brentwood connection was started.
So, but my first Lindy job was CRI Graphics.
Oh, right. I worked there with you.
Yeah.
Stupid man.
Did we work there at the same time together?
We did. I believe you got promoted from Screen Monkey to some other job, and then I was the jerk that was cleaning the screens when you came in there. So you got the feeling back in your fingers because you weren't dealing with acetone on your hands all day.
I used to get headaches.
No gloves or anything.
If it was like screen cleaning day.
You had a 50 fucking gallon drum of acetone like pouring into a sink in front of you.
Yeah, insane. Just like, just huffing so much acetone.
There's got to be a more legal way to do that.
Yeah, but thanks, Bobby. Thanks, Al. Yeah.
But
yes,
Al is still around. Bobby Derrick can confirm this.
Wow. Yes. So CRI Graphics, John, you would remember better of the crew, but I know as Tommy Corrigan was the graphic designer. At some point, Chris.
He was not there at that point.
I worked with him for a little while. So yeah,
James was doing the graphic design.
He got promoted.
There was a guy named Matt.
Yeah, Matt.
There was a guy named Matt that worked there.
Matt rocked.
Who was also like a mural painter or something. He was a cool guy.
He was cool. Chris Baldwin worked there.
Baldwin was in and out of there because Edna's was like touring or making their album then. Because I can remember listening to like an early mix of the second Edna's record while I was working at CRI.
Right. So CRI.
You, James, maybe Anna worked there or Nicole Gaskill, the girl that was like a cross coach. That worked
I don't
too,
know, man.
You know what I'm talking about?
Literally 100 degrees back there, and I'm sniffing acetone half the time. So it was tough.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah, and the owner had like, I don't know, he'd like show you crazy things on the internet that you wouldn't even want to repeat, and it was a crazy place.
Bobby Dare thanked us for not getting his boss canceled in the Phil interview.
Right.
So I'll cut you there before we go too far. But those who know, and that's all you need.
It was
to say.
A wild time. But
wild time.
But yeah,
cool to me that you showed me the Silent Majority practiced in the basement there, and they were still like string winders and shit and stuff lying around from there.
Yeah, that's I think James must have gotten that job first, and Tommy, like James was the printer, I was the the screen cleaner, Tommy was the graphic designer, whatever else was going on, and then I guess eventually another iteration. you come in.
I moved in up the
Yeah,
chain. Yeah.
I'm guessing that's when Tommy went to merch. Merch direct was
I
probably
think he
starting.
went to Da Vinci then.
Oh, okay.
Before then,
Right.
like when he was apprenticing at Da
That's
Vinci.
right. Old Broccoli back made it to the big lights. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, CRI Graphics was awesome. That job was so cool. It was like a love-hate thing because like you were trying to like, you're passionate about making band shirts and stuff like that, but you're doing all this other work that you really didn't want to do at all. And
Yeah, you could give a fuck about
yeah,
cheerleading sweatpants or whatever.
ADI tote bags.
That the company
Yeah.
who somehow you need to make 1,000 of them like
It
every
was
week because they had
endless.
conventions all
Yeah,
the time.
it was an endless
Yeah,
job.
a non-stop
Yeah.
ADI.
But anytime I see an ADI building, I like shudder. But yeah, and then yeah, ADI. Anyway, so CRI Graphics happens. And then
I remember Captree. Captree was brutal. We would be up at
that was
5 a.m. pushing
yeah,
dumpsters across the
yeah.
parking lot.
You guys got to
But I
play with
also
garbage in the sun
remember
all day.
I also remember us driving together there and listening to Angel Dust by Faith No More
Yes.
on tape in my
Yeah,
first
that
car.
would probably be the first time I was exposed to Faith No More. It would be from you.
That's funny because I remember listening to King for a Day on tape in your mom's minivan driving the Waiting Process shows. So
That's funny.
the cycle continues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some things never change.
Yeah, that the Captree job was disgusting. It was cool, but it was they basically get a bunch of young teens to do the jobs that no one wants to do. You're there, it's 5 a.m. Your shift was from 5 to 1, unless you did the night shift 1 to 9. And then
Yeah.
if you did the morning shift, you had to sweep seaweed off the dock, take every garbage pail that people are coming off the fishing boats and throwing fishing guts, whatever else, whatever it is they're throwing off the fishing boat into these garbage pails. You now have to empty those pails. You're responsible for that. Push those, fish gut dumpsters across the parking lot to wherever they go. What else do we do? Clean the bathrooms. Like,
I remember at one there was like a small office building, and the guy, what was his name? The guy with the mullet,
Andy,
who was in charge.
Yeah,
Andy. Oh my God, he made me and another guy take like 10 bottles of bleach and just bleach the entire building and close it down. And we were like just coughing, and
Andy was insane.
Awful.
He was like a certified like pervert, just like any teenage girl. Like he'd like take them on like a special mission.
He got the certification.
Yeah, he got certified. And yeah. But no, he would like, other girls would tell me like they would like, Andy would like call him into the office or like, and that kind of thing, or he would like take the girl somewhere. But anyway, that's all the way out, and Captree. Let's get back to Lindy.
Yeah.
So then Beverage
Land. Yes. So
yeah.
Beverage Land was a beer distributor on Sunrise Highway. I think it's now called Some Guy Cool Spot. No, not Cool Spot.
It's so that is not in the same spot where Beverage
Land was. A couple doors
was.
down. Yeah.
That is on the other side, next to it's where the beer distributor there is where the pool hall was.
Right. But wasn't Beverage
no longer there?
Wasn't Beverage Land just?
Beverage Land is now, I believe, a T-Mobile store.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think I got that job first, and then James, and then you.
I think I got it before James, honestly.
Oh, did you? I just remember James got promoted to like cashier, like closer guy, and I was so mad because
me too.
I knew, because right, that would make sense because we had been working there for a while. We thought we were able-bodied, guys that could have responsibility.
And then the real burn on that was like Christmas time comes around. Me and you had been working there longer than James. This was a funny thing too. Like for whatever reason, one year on Christmas, me and you in the back, James up front. Christmas Eve, whatever, people are tipping left and right, and I'm getting way more tips than you, and you are actually like visibly, vocally upset about this.
Yes.
And you're like, all right, stop fucking helping these people. Let me get some
Yeah.
tips. So I do. And everyone you help, no one fucking tips
Yeah.
you. So we go to National Wholesale Liquidators after that night and get like 100 or 200 of those stupid fucking ornament balls and leave them on James's lawn in the middle of the night.
Yes, I do remember that. That's incredible.
This might have been before he worked there, because I think he was working at Stuff a Bagel, and he got up to go to Stuff a Bagel and made his mom clean up the lawn.
Yeah.
I was all about pranking James. I put like a corn bumper sticker on the back of his car once.
I love that.
But
cool. So
Beverage Land.
Go on.
So, it's funny now because I own one of those kind of stores in Long Beach. So it's really funny, working there, in high school and stuff. And then, now doing it, and now like hearing you say that story of like being mad about the tipping and stuff, like that's all the kids that work for me. That's what they fight about, is that same thing around the holidays or in the summer. Like, dude, like let me get a piece of the action. So funny. That
was the other half of that. Christmas came, like Barry gave us Christmas cards. I opened my card, like, thanks for all your hard work. There's a $10 bill in it. James opens his card. Thanks for all your hard work. There's a $50 bill in it. I had worked there over a year longer than James had. He just gave it to James because I guess James handles the money and not the cans and the stock. Yeah. So James is more valuable.
We were doing the real work, John. we were sorting empties.
I know.
We were, oof. That stuff.
I have a scar on my wrist from do you remember the bell there where if you were in the box, they rang a bell so you knew to come out to help people or whatever? I was putting something in like one of the racks and they rang the bell and like I just shoved my wrist in and it fucking, I don't know if you could see that there.
Oh yeah, that is a disgusting scar, everybody. Yeah.
That's the worst, grossest thing anyone's ever seen. Why is it blue?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm scarred forever for that fucking place.
I was at a Beverage Land on 9/11. That was wild because
I ended up going in there. That was my second day of school at Nassau, and classes were canceled. And the Army Navy recruiters were coming in from next door, just fucking like freaking out the whole time.
Everyone out. They would come in with like an update that probably everyone else had, but they thought because they were like
Did you guys hear the radio? Yeah. We heard it.
Were they trying to recruit you to?
We gotta go now.
So it was like two Army, Navy, like recruit or whatever it was, like, but they were like, it's a recruiting store, like a storefront, and they would run in like every 10 minutes, like, the thing just happened, the next thing just happened, do this, and they'd like yell at you to like instruct you to.
Why don't you guys go do something about it?
Yeah. But yeah, that was wild. I love Beverage Land.
Yeah.
Me too. Jared Dowd often brings up Anger Corner, where we would just fucking throw bottles at the concrete wall and watch them shatter. I don't know if you did that, but eventually when Damian Bartleson started working there, that was his first day of training. I'm like, this is Anger Corner. When you're mad, you just pick up an empty bottle and throw it at the wall and it shatters.
Wait, what? I didn't know there was like a little lineage of friends that worked there. What? Who?
I eventually got Damian Bartleson a job there.
Yeah.
We got Jared a job there too at some point. You tried to get Rob Klein a job and he didn't show up on his first day of work. I don't know if you remember that.
That's about right. Yeah.
But other than that, there were no other friends in there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Ryan Kelly, John Kelly's brother, he worked with us.
Oh, right. And he was my classmate at the time. He was my peer.
And
we talked to Joe Camp last week, and he worked across the way at Leslie's Pool, so he was in there a lot.
I was gonna say I remember Joe Camp being in there, so I was gonna ask if he worked there. Yeah, Ryan Kelly, whose brother John worked at the rival beer distributor across town.
A Flag or a Tricolor? What was it called?
Was called? At the time, it would have been Tricolor. Then I think. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so Jesse Viola and John Kelly worked there, and that
we covered Northland and
right,
Hearst.
And
I know like Eric DeMarco and Chris Smith worked at Thrifty later in life as well.
That's incredible! I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the one in the middle of town there that Viola and Kelly worked at, I thought was like the superior one because I don't know, it just seemed nicer and cooler, and so I always felt like we worked at like like I don't know, like the other one, like
You didn't have to clean the dog hair out of your boss's Jeep at that one?
right. Oh,
So anyway, moving forward a bit. So we're getting into late high school era. Waiting process is winding down. And now I have another distinct memory of you, Derrick, because I'm looking at the place where you were standing at the moment right before our last show. And I remember you looking at your guitar and saying, I want to make this
whoa,
my life. And you
that's
did
profound.
for a while. So at that time, and I spoke to this on a prior episode, we were rehearsing at the studio in Massapequa, and there was kind of like a big shakeup where all the bands broke up and kind of reformed in different combinations. James and I, of course, starting Heads versus Breakers with Rich, who, rest in peace, Rich Jacobina. And you went down the hall. You joined up with Brian Diaz, Mark, and
The
Scully.
Ska Boys, yeah,
from Step Lively. Yeah. You joined the Ska Boys and
So-
started a rock band.
so yeah, there was
Reunion show.
two things I would say about that is I do remember in high school my only plan was I was like, all right, I'm either gonna play guitar. Well, I had three plans, but one really wasn't an option because I never actually did too much schoolwork. But I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a cinematographer. Turns out you need to like actually do schoolwork and do things, so that wasn't really working out for me. I was like, I'm gonna play guitar, or my backup plan was I was gonna move to Thailand and like just smoke a lot of weed and I don't know, figure it out. So that was like, I was like, my plan. So then I was like, wait, what if I combine the two and I just smoke weed and play guitar? This would be great. But
Then I won't have to figure it out.
while we're doing the waiting process, high school is winding down for me. I I put out a couple feelers to Step Lively. They were doing like a last tour and they were looking for a guitar player. And I had said, I'm graduating high school this summer. If you need a player, let me know. I'd love to do it. Didn't work out for me. But I guess that's how I got on their radar for when they were starting what would become the reunion show. So yeah, it was sort of like the waiting process. So we were splitting room with Silent Majority, right? Like that was our practice space. It was us and Silent Majority, and we both seemingly overnight, disbanded. Yeah.
Broke up.
I feel like I remember a story of you walking in on Silent Majority breaking up because you were moving your stuff from the waiting process room to the reunion show room to practice with them at that point.
Well, the early,
I don't know if that rings a bell.
Early, I mean, that would make sense. The very early reunion show practices happened at the waiting process Silent Majority space.
Gotcha.
And then so eventually we, I guess hit the high road and grabbed our own spot.
Then you got a room in there for closer, whatever, in that hallway.
Yeah.
There was a white drum kit that got passed back and forth somehow between me and Scully, and I think Mike from ASOB as well. Like I think all three of us.
Once that room became the Heads vs. Breakers room, did anybody else join that room?
It was
it was
Kill
Blood
Your
Red,
Idols,
and then and Gabriel
Uh-huh.
as well. Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess
you guys, you had the best room in the place, by the way. The Heads vs. Breakers, whatever, Silent Majority room was fucking amazing.
That room,
in the back corner. That creepy back corner. You guys remember that show Fear on MTV, where they would just throw someone in like an abandoned psychiatric building overnight, and they would see ghosts? That's what it reminded me of. Yeah.
Yeah, that room is great. I think I felt like the largest room in the place. I don't know if that's the true.
I think
but
it was because it was
big,
like the width of the entire back of the building.
Yeah, it was almost like two rooms. That was great. Yeah, so many memories of just like late nights with Rich. All of us, would just be there. It's like open door, kind of come hang out. I don't know, just whatever, just
we say a lot that like we didn't go away to school and have like a dorm experience, but that kind of was our dorm
Yeah, dude,
experience.
those rooms,
Like
that room, yeah.
For sure.
being unsupervised 1,000% in a building we had 24-hour
Yeah,
access
rock and
to.
roll college, man.
Nothing bad could happen
Right, yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that really was, there was so many, yeah, I don't know, just amazing non-musical hangs that happened there, because yeah,
Definitely.
but um yeah, yeah, waiting process, I don't even really remember how or why we, disbanded. Um and then yeah,
I don't either, to
I
tell you
don't
the
know.
truth.
It didn't make any sense because we had a lot of momentum, so I don't really,
Yeah.
um I don't know. Yeah, it just happened, and then like it just seemed like we all seamlessly were just like, oh, I'll just play here. Like Vito's like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. We'll go
Me and
here.
James
We'll
will
go
just
there.
play
Yeah.
with Rich, and like they're like, oh, cool, you're playing with the guy from Sound Majority. That's sick. And I was like, I'll go play with the
Yeah.
ska guys. I don't know, like,
Right.
so, uh, yeah,
But the reunion show, like you hit the ground running pretty quick. Like you guys got out on the road and really
yeah.
went
Reunion
for it.
show was, the singer Brian of His Goldfish, and then Mark and Scully from Step Lively, and um we those guys kicked my ass musically. They took it very serious, and they had a lot of goals in mind. They're both coming, like especially Brian, you know, coming off the heels of like a little like MTV thing, and like definitely having like record label interest and all that. It was a very professional, goal orientated band. And when I say we practice 5 or 6 days a week, I mean we practiced. Like we all had basically similar schedules. So we get off our 9 to 5,
Mm.
meet up at the studio around, like 7, 8 o'clock or whatever, and we played a 8-1, from like 8 to like 1 or 2 in the morning, like almost every night. And that's just what we did. And if we weren't playing, like we weren't necessarily playing the whole time, but like just connecting, listening to music together, getting
Mm.
on the same page, playing music together, eating together, just becoming a unit. And it really was like a fast track deal because, Brian and Mark, were notable people that had connections. So, um, yeah. But yeah, it was like, it wasn't like we had a couple of practices and then all of a sudden like things happened. It was like we really did put in the work, but it was at like hyper speed. We were like so tight,
Yeah.
so fast, because we just literally would put 30, 40 hours a week into it all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah. And we got into the reunion show with Mark on his episode. But John, you did go on tour with them
I
as a merch
did in
guy.
the fall of 2002. I turned 19 on that tour. I guess I wanted to ask Derrick, how did touring with the reunion show open your eyes to the bigger, world of touring at large as opposed to, playing local shows?
Well, I don't think you were on this tour, but the first like two runs of tours, it was Reunion Show and Brand New, and we did our own little East Coast
That
shores shows down in Florida
This
together.
was Rob Klein, I believe, was with you
I think
guys.
he did
And I
one of
think he
them.
actually has
Yeah, he did. He didn't do.
video of
Yeah,
these
he must have
tours.
done the
Yeah.
second one. He definitely was on the first one. I didn't know if you were there. But yeah, like so it wasn't unlike. It was actually worse than playing at home because like Vito had mentioned, like maybe in the waiting process, there's wherever we're playing, there's at some point, there's
Your friends don't live in buttfuck Delaware to come
yeah,
see you.
so you're
Uh-huh.
used to playing in front of 100 kids or whatever it is, and now you're literally playing to 0 or 3 people or just the other band, whatever's going on. So you know, it was weird, not great. It was a fun experience at that time just to go, you know,
Cut your
to
teeth doing that, kind
Alabama,
of.
and you're like, I'm in Mobile,
Mm-hmm.
Alabama. This is amazing, but like you're literally playing to zero
Yeah.
people,
Uh-huh.
you know.
You kind of get a front row seat to watching that scene explode and change, though, and watching those bands then go to play bigger rooms as time
Yes.
progresses.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, like yeah, Rin Show Brand New, that must have been like 2001. I'm
Yep.
sure they put out there your favorite weapon, and things start to move pretty fast for them.
Hmm.
Uh, and for the Reen show, we were on a different trajectory. We're doing our thing, and you know, uh, seemingly like felt like we had some momentum. Definitely play. Getting some good tours. Uh, and yeah, it was like once we got on our first. I don't. It must have been. It might have been the tour with you. Were you on? Which tour did you do with us, John? For Reen show.
So initially, I was supposed to just go out with you for like a week and a half or 2 weeks with Alistair and fucking Wakefield
Uh-huh.
when your album was coming out, but Adam Lazara had hurt himself, and you guys took Taking Back Sunday spot on
Midtown
a
and
tour with
recover
Midtown.
and recover.
So
Yeah.
yes, and Rent Recover, can't forget Recover, and
What an EP.
sometimes Armor for Sleep, and sometimes Christiansen,
Right. Yes,
if you remember
I
those
do.
bands. But so on the days that we weren't playing Alistair shows, we played the Midtown show. So we were going back and forth to playing okay shows, sometimes better than other ones, but honestly, sometimes to no one, like you're saying,
Yeah.
with Alistair and Wakefield to a fucking sold out like Agora in fucking Cleveland with Midtown and Recover, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Getting hmm, the Midtown. So Reen Show had done a bunch of so I'm like 18, so everything is awesome. Everything's very cool and exciting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh we had a lot of ska connections, so we're playing, with Goldfinger, Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish, all that, and so that was cool. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And just in itself, ska is kind of campy and like whatever. So like it feels just more of like a party. And I don't know if I was taking it seriously because you're just
What do you mean?
yeah. So I said it feels. Um,
Gotcha.
but so like
Sometimes
I
the
would
feeling's
yeah I
right.
would do those tours, and it just felt very much like a party and not necessarily like it could be a career or something. And then like doing the Midtown tour was the first time that I saw what I deemed a professional rock and roll band. Where I was like, these guys they got it all together,
Uh-huh.
from everything that they were doing. I wasn't even necessarily like I wasn't like like I became a fan of Midtown like touring with them. I didn't know them beforehand. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
watching them play, and Heath, the guitar player, he had such like a behind the scenes work ethic that I really admired. Like he just, like he taught me how to change my strings every day, why it's important to like set up your gear beforehand, to love your guitar, clean it, like take care of it.
You may not know it from listening to Midtown, but he is one of the most underrated guitar
Oh,
players I've
he's
ever like. He
incredible.
would shred Randy Rhoads fucking solos in Soundcheck and stuff, and they turned me on to Rocky Erickson, so I can
Yes.
never thank them enough for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Heath, I was lucky enough to play a Midtown reunion show this past December. Um, and I would uh I just really like
What's it like playing Mulcahy's, real quick?
it's actually really pleasant now. I thought it was gonna suck. It was really great. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
liked it
sound
every
is
time I played there.
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the new setup is really
Yeah.
great. They could close off the room if it's the show is undersold and they need to make it feel more intimate, or they could, they have a partition that opens up, and when
Good shit.
yeah, it was great. But yeah, Heath is
What other venue has a Mike Francesa
oh
monument
yeah,
in
I
it?
yeah, it's a strict rule. If you're playing Long Island, you can only play in a place that has a Francesa, shrine.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, Heath is just an incredible guitar player, and but that was the moment, John, of being like, oh, I should take this seriously. Like like I shouldn't just be the stone drunk guy falling out of the van and like, plugging my guitar like, huh? All right, cool. Like, so which I mean,
You
I
don't
didn't
sound
say
like that.
stopped, but at least I, like I did start to like the light bulb went
Yeah.
off. It was like, okay, like and and yeah, that Midtown recovered and also seeing Recover, like on that, touring off of that EP, that first EP they had, which is one of the best
Yeah.
EPs I've ever heard.
Uh-huh.
You know, so they were like the band's band where like everyone admired what they did, and Midtown was like this professional rock band, like where you figured like, wow, these guys are gonna like make it. They're gonna be the biggest band in the world. Yeah, it was just a really cool experience doing that. And that did make that from that tour forward, I could definitely say like that was like I have to get my shit together because there's way better musicians happening, way better bands happening. They're you know they're taking this seriously. I got to take this more seriously. Like yeah.
But I think you did get to take it seriously after that because the shows did start to get bigger and that whole scene kind of exploded
Yeah,
time around
yeah, it was.
2002, 2003.
Oh man, yeah, that was wild. I remember whatever tour we were doing. I remember I might mess this up, but it was like some sort of tour, like it was like brand new Finch and I don't know, maybe it was Starting Line. I could be wrong, but it was like definitely two of those three. Something like that. And they did a tour, whatever it was, for a few weeks, and they were playing rooms that were like 200 capacity. And then they did the very same tour, I think, like 6 months later, and it was like 1,200 capacity rooms. And
Right.
that was how fast it went from being like kind of a
Mm-hmm.
thing to holy crap, all of our friends are doing cool stuff.
I remember for some reason you had like a printout of like all the draws for your last tour and all the different clubs. And I remember Chicago being really good. Like that was your biggest
Yeah.
city for a draw.
For a reunion show. Yeah. Yeah. Chicago loved
Yeah.
us. We thought it was because like they embraced nerds or something. We're like, all right, yeah, but
Could it be because Victory was based out of Chicago?
it might have been.
So maybe you got more promotion there or
Yeah,
something?
I don't know. It's possible. But yeah, we played with Fall Out Boy a lot early on in Chicago. Um, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Chicago was always really, really great for us.
Yeah.
Um,
So anyway, yeah, time goes on and the reunion show starts to dissolve and you decided what you wanted to do your own thing after that. So you started planting the seeds for the
well,
modern, which I played the first few shows with you. Or
yeah,
am I
you're
jumping
missing a
ahead a
couple of
bit?
years, which I think is just crucial, but
Okay.
I'll glaze over them. Basically, reunion show breaks
Okay.
up. I don't know what I'm doing. My friends in the All American Rejects asked me to guitar tech for them. I don't know how to guitar tech, but I'm like, yo,
Okay.
I'll go to Japan with you guys. Great, like
I can hand you a
yeah.
guitar.
So that was another thing where I had, then I'm in over my head. I don't really know how to guitar tech. Learning that whole thing, that was great. And then yeah, I come home, I do a couple guitar teching things for them, and then for my other friends in Motion City Soundtrack, and then so I sort of like get in the guitar tech world, um, a little
Mhm.
bit, but like I also wasn't taking that seriously. I was just like hanging out, and I wanted to I wanted to play in a band. So,
Yeah.
um,
And you were starting to like, you got probably your first MacBook, I would assume at that point. And
yeah,
we're
the white
starting to
MacBook,
like,
You got the edge.
yeah,
2003. Yeah, yep,
starting to make demos of some new music.
yeah, Mbox. I don't know what version that is, but yeah, white MacBook 2003 Mbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, start doing some songs, it was like in flux. I don't know. But yeah, called it was pretty funny. I actually called it this is how in sync like me and Mark still were in the Rune show. Like I originally called the band Modern Modern,
Yeah.
and he went on to do Action Action.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I sent Tony Brummel from Victory Records the Modern Modern like demo, and he's like, "Is this an effing joke? What do you mean?" Like I had no idea that Mark was doing Action Action, and I was like, "Is this?" And so then we just shortened it to the Modern. But
Yeah.
You should have just wrote back, no,
yeah,
no.
I still have the CDR that says modern modern on it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I did record the first demo with you, played a few shows. You guys wanted me to be in the band, but I felt bad because I was like in the middle of recording with A Life as well. So
That's right.
I kind of kept the course with that.
Yeah.
And
Did you play Skate and Surf with us?
no,
No. Yeah.
no.
That was a Chesco jam.
Yeah.
Chester. Yeah. Um, Yeah, modern was or the modern was to me very embarrassed by those songs. And a funny tidbit is our CD we had like a 5 song EP or whatever at Looney Tunes, and Looney Tunes had burned down, and Carl, the owner, like after it burned down, months later, but was like, "Great news, Derek. One of the only things to survive the burning were the modern CDs." And he put it back on the shelf when they like reopened, and I was like, damn
Couldn't
it,
kill it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was like so relieved that they burned in the fire, and then they actually didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, the modern not good, not good stuff.
So the modern was you, Dave Weckerly on bass,
Uh-huh.
Jeremy Celesti on keyboards, and then Chesko took over
There
on
were keyboards
drums.
in that band?
They were there. Yeah. Go figure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah, a
tell.
little hint. A little hint.
Yeah.
How long did that band go on?
Oh, too long, but it was a very a flashbang. It was it couldn't have been more than a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not, those were funny fuzzy times, but I do remember I was working at Looney Tunes, I was guitar teching, I was kind of all over the place, but um uh but yeah, that's the first time I really got to play with Chesko. Only knew him as a drummer, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was great. He was
Back to the guitar teching thing real quick. Of interest to me is if you're in over your head and you don't know what you're doing guitar teching, like what are you actually doing?
Mm.
Just tuning, stringing, and handing him guitars when he needs it.
So I was like for the rejects, I was the secondary tech, so I took care of Mike Kennedy and Tyson. So like Tyson only had one change for bass. And then and
But like, are you doing setups or
yeah,
anything?
you're doing anything,
Okay,
but thank God they had their main real tech who was like a seasoned vet, and he took care of
gotcha.
Nick, who had like Nick has like all these crazy tunings, like a million guitar changes. So if I had any actual real problem,
Mm.
it was beyond my scope. I was there to hand off a couple guitars, make sure things are in tune, change strings.
Gotcha.
But I was so bad at it, like the seasoned vet would change, like, let's say 8 guitars from Nick. I think he literally brought like 15 or 16 guitars on the tour. So like he would change like half the strings one day, half the strings the next show. And I had like 3 or 4 guitars to do and like one bass, and it would take me hours. I would just be struggling, like, but it was important to get it right too. So I didn't want to, I wanted, I had to make sure it was good, but like, yeah, it was tough. But that yeah, that that's also how like I led into to Brand New, was because through guitar tech with them, I started guitar teching with Brand New, and then
Right.
eventually started to uh you know play on some songs. When Jesse played acoustic, I would play electric to round out the sound, and then eventually just kind of grew from there, where it was
And also, you toured with an All American Reject side project, These Enzymes,
yes,
for a
nice
little
work,
while.
Feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, These Enzymes is awesome. um
Yeah.
Super underrated band. We did one tour with Breather Resist, which became another band I love. Oh
The
man.
Coliseum,
No. Young Widows.
but it is a Louisville band, right?
I think
Young
so.
Widows.
Yeah, I think they're yeah. Um but
But it was
yeah.
just wild seeing those two guys like who were like legitimately famous, and then you and Neil.
Yeah, so it was
Right.
me, Neil Rubenstein, who, was in Irony, Lightfoot, and Sons of Abraham.
Now a
Uh
stand-up comedian.
right now, stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
But yeah, Neil, to me was like an iconic Long Island hardcore singer. I thought he was incredible,
Yeah.
and um, yeah, while guitar teching with the Rejects, me and Mike, the guitar player, and the drummer Chris, we like really bonded over like, you know, punk rock, um, and like Mike Kennedy's a huge Screeching Weasel fan. He actually went on to like produce them at some point later on in his life, which is cool. But anyway, we'd go down the super fast punk stuff and then like record shopping all the time. And then it was like sort of like a natural thing of like we should do something that's not the Rejects. We're both coming from like pop rock stuff. Like let's do something. Yeah. And I think I don't know how Neil got involved. I think he was tour managing Motion City Soundtrack. Motion City and All American Rejects did a tour together. Naturally, Neil is an audiophile. He listens to so much. He like all of music's catalog. Like he listens to literally everything. So that was like a natural fit. And then these enzymes happen. Oh yeah, we got this like sick metal bass player, this guy Andy. It's like the best bass player I've ever played with. He's like from Oklahoma. But yeah, they recorded an EP on Doghouse Records at Salad Days. And we did like one or two little tours just for fun and just like really cool, interesting, like I don't know, hardcore. The wildest tunings I've ever been in. I'll tell you that. I couldn't remember them, but yeah, Neil Rubenstein has such a sick voice, and that was fun.
A little bit after that time, you start kind of like easing your way into Brand New through guitar teching for them.
All those things were kind of happening at the same time, and then I remember one of my first like performances with Brand New was at Jones Beach for K-Rock Dysfunctional Family Picnic.
We were there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were there.
Beastie Boys headlined.
Yeah, we bought
Yes.
We bought tickets the day of at Tower Records, and I left work from Sports Authority and we went to the show. And
sick.
Stranger handed me a joint in the crowd.
Yes, there. That was such an insane lineup. That was
Cypress Hill, the
Yes opened, then Brand New, and then
Jay-Z.
It was Cypress Hill.
No, that was a different show.
No, Jay-Z was there. It was
we left
opened
before them. Jay-Z and Beyonce came out together.
Yeah.
So we saw Jay-Z twice.
Jay-Z only did 99 Problems with the Beastie Boys.
Okay,
but it was
right.
We saw a legit Jay-Z show as well
really?
at Jones Beach. It was a different thing.
Hey, a Jay-Z Hoobastank 311.
Yes, that was that.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Sprite Liquid Mix tour. Yep. Of course, there's a corporate sponsor on that.
Wow, that's what a lineup.
Oh, and also the Darkness played that show too, the Brand New show.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think the Jurassic 5.
Awesome.
Then there's like a weird stage outside.
Yeah.
Like
that's when they started doing that at all those shows.
But that was my first that was like a hybrid like guitar tech / player. So that had to be like 03, 04
is that like the first cool hometown stage you got to play? Or had you been at MSG with them before them?
No, they didn't do MSG yet. Yeah, that was early on. That was like 03, 04. So yeah, that was the big.
Gotcha.
Other than like the Vanderbilt, that was
right.
Playing the Roseland, that was sick.
I was at Roseland with you guys. Yeah. I was at Vanderbilt with you guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, but at that point, like Jones Beach is huge bucket list dream.
Fucking Jones Beach.
Yeah, so sick. But I think I only like played a couple of tunes or whatever, and just like guitar teching. But yeah, then obviously the modern, I don't know, should have died in the Looney Tunes fire. And then I don't know, that's got to be then I started guitar teching for Scully's new band, Men, Women, and Children.
Men, Women, and Children,
which were signed to Warner Brothers. That was Todd from Glassjaw. That was like his brainchild with TJ and Rick Penzone, Scully, and a couple other guys. And then I started guitar teching for them, and so this had to be in like 05. And then nothing against those guys because they're all still really good friends of mine, but I was having a really bad tour. There's like 11 of us, crammed in a passenger van,
Hmm.
and I was just having a horrible time. I just like hated the tour. Uh, didn't want to do it. Like super burnt out of touring and stuff. And Brand New they were in Mississippi, and for some reason the tour I was on was passing through Mississippi. So like I just started talking to the Brand New guys about how much I hated being on that tour, and they're like, just stay here. And then I just pieced
You
out
just
on
jumped off.
yeah, I jumped off the tour and
Wow.
and at that time that's when Brand New was recording Devil and God. And so yeah, I just like jumped off the tour and just jumped in the studio with them, and like I wasn't getting paid, I wasn't contributing anything, I wasn't doing anything other than hanging out. And I just hung out in Oxford, Mississippi while they recorded this record for like 2 months. And then like I don't know, I think we like went home because it was like Thanksgiving or something. And um but yeah, so then yeah, that kind of like that ended my guitar teching for anybody else thing. Uh the Brand New is I forget how long it really was, but it was they recorded The Devil and God for many, many months.
Hmm.
Uh we were in Mississippi, then we went to then I don't know why, but then I just like was like just there for every recording, not working, not getting paid, not doing anything. They fed me and stuff, and they gave me a place to sleep in the studio, but like I wasn't a contributing member of society by any
Yeah.
means, or the band. Um, and yeah, I just like slowly, you know, um, I don't know. I think I want to say it was like around 9 months worth of recording that record, in big blocks. And so then naturally, like once the record was done, it was time to play some shows. And then since I was familiar with the songs and stuff, it was kind of the same thing. Like, why don't you guitar tech, but why don't you play on all the songs instead of, on all the new songs or whatever. And then so it kind of blossomed from there um, it was like a natural progression of like the more I hung around them, the more, I just learned and became a part of the everyday activities of the band. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
You were playing third guitar and some keyboards on stage as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a Fender Rhodes. Not really any keyboard, just piano, just a few bits here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, like '06, I think the Devil and God was released, and then our first I think our first big tour was Dashboard Confessional and Brand New. Um and that
And
went to
that
the
one
that went to the
went
Garden.
to the
Yeah.
garden. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick. That was cool. Um that was Chris Carrabba was like a nightmare on that tour. It was like uh he is I don't like talking bad about anyone um because he was like so cool now, like he's such a great guy, but I guess he was just like having a moment in life then. But like the funniest pettiest thing that happened was well, there were a few things, but um like every band has a writer, and you get to like pick out like whatever you need before the show. You need like you know whatever drinks and snacks and everything else. At the
Mm.
time, there's like some Star Wars toys that were uh popular and coming out. So we were trying to collect every Star Wars toy. So we just asked the runner, go pick up a toy, and we are just hoping to like collect a set. And eventually we realized like we stopped getting the Star Wars toy, which is like it's like a $9 like Walmart toy. It's not anything crazy. And
Uh-huh.
like somewhere like near the end of like the 30-day tour, uh, I go in, one of us goes into the production room, and we realize there's like a chest, like a treasure chest of all those toys that the tour manager from the dashboard guy was taking those, before we had got to them, and just like hoarding them for I don't know what, but that was funny.
Yeah.
Um, and the only other memory I have from that tour like that, well, a couple was um, uh, Chris at some point decided he needed to open up his own tour. So at first it was just like Brand New and Dashboard, and that And then at some point the tour became Chris Carrabba solo, Brand New, then Dashboard. And I remember he's doing his thing. He's opening up his own show, playing acoustic, and uh, somebody or a few different people start throwing like change, trying to hit his guitar, and someone like hits the guitar during like a very intimate moment. He stops the show and he's all mad. He's like, "Hey, I don't come to your town and slop the cock out of your mouth while you're working." And then like I don't know, it's pretty funny. So he had a good humor about it, but like yeah, he was just getting like harassed by all these like hardcore Brand New fans, and he was really pissed at us about it. And it was an interesting, funny tour.
Yeah, the Brand New fandom is
It's wild.
crazy.
Hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's it
Mental illness runs rampant in every factor of society, you know?
yeah, it
Were there any crazy like stalker stories or just like fans who stepped over the line at any point?
oh God, yeah. Um yeah, just I mean everyone I can't think of anything off the top of my head. One thing that comes to mind is some kid was like on our bus. He was like probably like I don't know. He wasn't a kid. He was like a man, like 22, something like that. And we're like, it's like what like your bus call is usually late, like 2 a.m. or something in that area. And this guy's on the bus, just like hanging out, eating cereal, and like helping himself to food on the bus, and kind of making small talk. And we all thought it was like someone's cousin or friend in that city.
Yes, someone else's
There
friend.
was no one.
Yeah.
He just chilled on the bus for an hour or two, and you know, yeah. And then we were like, when we confronted him, he like reached in his pockets, and we are like, "Yep, this is it. We're getting stabbed." But but yeah, there's a million. There's like early on, I'm like, there's like all these like weird. There's like a popular thing on the internet where like people write like fake like romance novels or whatever, like blogs. There'd be like blogs about, so each member had a blog about like, and like,
You had erotic fan fiction.
not, it wouldn't be erotic, but it'd just be like, me and Vinny, went through the lavender fields
Right.
today. And then, be like, would like be like an accounting of the day. Like, and,
Gotcha.
but that was like a thing, and people would make their own stories about each member. And that was weird. It's a very, I don't know. Yeah, they're like I don't know, like fish or something of like it's not even emo. I don't know what it is, but yeah, they're just their own weird cult.
Yeah. And
What was the biggest show you played with them?
Biggest headlining show would have been, I think, or my favorite biggest one, Wembley Arena in London. That was really cool. Then I think,
With Incubus?
no, this is headlining. Yeah, probably
Oh
the
wow.
Incubus shows. Yeah, oh yeah, we did do an Incubus tour. That had to be bigger. Whatever that was, I'm sure that was
They
big.
were like the biggest band in the
Yeah,
world when they were out
yeah,
with them.
yeah.
yeah. Um, and then I think the biggest show that I remember is doing probably was Reading and Leeds. I forget which one, but I remember one of them was really big. Um, uh, I remember we opened up the main stage. Bon Iver was on our stage. I forget, it was off his first record. Radiohead was the headliner, and Tom York watched our first song. We were playing "Yeah," which is off of that record I mentioned, "Devil and God," and Tom York was
And then he didn't like it and he walked
he
away.
watched he watched an appropriate amount, and he did like his wiggles,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like his little shakes and wiggles, and then like left. Yeah, and but that was the coolest thing. You're like
Hell
so
yeah.
surreal.
You see the videos of those festivals and it's just like a sea of fucking people. It doesn't even make sense.
Yes, yeah, it's like 100,000 people or something. You have no idea. It's so big. Um,
Uh-huh.
and then yeah, another great big tour, also overseas. Big day out in Australia.
Hmm.
We did um, I think we were on the main stage. It doesn't matter. It's all great. But it was Rage Against the Machine, Arcade Fire, Bjork, Brand New, blah blah blah, a bunch of amazing bands. And that was really unique and cool because um however many shows, let's say 8 shows, and like it's over like a it's like a show day, travel day slash hang day, show day. So it becomes like to be like a almost 3 week tour by the time you actually do it. So
Mhm.
you fly to every show on the tour, and now so all the bands are flying together, commercial, like, so you're just like taking over an airplane. So it'd be like you,
Right.
Bjork, and like Arcade Fire on one plane, and
Uh-huh.
everybody's crew. And yeah, just ridiculous
But when you're on a bill
circumstances.
like that, especially like, with huge bands that you grew up listening to,
Yeah.
are you just sitting there thinking like, how does our music fit in with this? Like, how did we get here?
It
How
does.
are we thrown in this pot with this pot
Yeah,
with these legends,
it doesn't feel appropriate at all.
right? You're
Yeah,
like, how, why us? Yeah.
yeah, you're like, I'm from Long Island, New York. I'm from Lindenhurst. Like, this is
Yeah.
weird. How am I hanging out with Bjork right now? Like, this is shouldn't happen.
Right.
Um, yeah,
And
it's
you got to play all the late night shows pretty much.
yeah, yeah, we did.
So what's that experience like?
Late night is weird. It happens, like you load in early, and it's all union, New York City union workers, stagehands, so they're like really mean, and they do not that you expect them to give a shit about you, because obviously they see an artist every day, but like, I don't know, you roll up to some venues and everyone's nice and happy, and then there's like, your classic like angry stage guys.
Yeah.
Every time we do a New York City show, whether it's like MSG or one of these like soundstage late night shows, they're generally like pretty angry, flippant people. And so it's like intimidating, because like you're nervous about the show. Now
Already. Yeah.
these guys are yelling at you because your amp is like, a couple of degrees, turned the way that it shouldn't be. And so anyway, um so once you get set up, and you go through sound check and all that, yeah, then you're just like chilling all day, waiting for the show to start at like 6 o'clock or whatever it is. And you basically just hang in your green room and watch the show. And then, like an assistant comes up and pulls you down. And there's very little time between like physically walking on the stage and then putting your guitar on. It's like literally like I don't know, a minute and a half or something. Like, so there's no like time to think about it. You literally they usher you to the stage, and then put on your thing, and then it's basically like 3, 2, 1, go, and then you play. Um, Super cool. Again, it's like super surreal. It just feels like a dream. It doesn't feel like you're actually doing
Yeah.
anything. Like, I don't know. At least that's my coping mechanism, is like to not be like, oh my God, I'm on TV right now. It just like, this isn't real.
Yeah. And the crowd is seating. They're not really reacting so much to what you're playing.
Right. Yeah. Oddly, really, they keep those rooms really cold.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's
That's what I've always
mhm.
heard.
John, I know you've been to a bunch in the
Oh, I said that that's what I've heard that specifically the Letterman
yeah.
studio is like notoriously freezing
Yeah,
cold.
I remember Conan being pretty damn cold too.
Yeah.
Do you don't remember that? Haven't you been to a bunch of shows in the audience? Haven't you sat in shows?
I Conan a ton of times, and like Colbert Report
Right.
and Daily
And
Show, and
you never
coldish,
noticed
but
it?
not
Yeah.
not
I
too
don't know.
bad.
Maybe it's just because like
Maybe it's colder on
maybe
stage
or
than it
or
is
maybe
in
it's
the
just like
seats.
the playing temperature, it's like you're used to like a hot, sweaty room, and then now
Yeah.
you're in like a relatively cool, you know,
Hmm.
quiet room. But yeah, it's cool. It's um yeah, I'm really grateful I got to be a part of those. That it seems like it's sort of like some like an old thing that's not going to really happen much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, time goes on. Were you like near the end of that time? Were you starting the seeds for Sainthood reps?
Oh,
You and
yes.
Chesco?
Yeah. So yeah. So um yeah. So I started doing brand new around 05, 06, and then like around 09. Um, yeah, and then the modern happened like around like 04, I think,
Yeah.
05, something like that. So anyway, kept in touch with Chesko. He's doing his thing. I'm on tour doing my thing. And then yeah, we I forget how it happened. We started a band with James. We wanted to do a project with James.
Yeah.
And so that was right at all right. So sorry. Right after the modern, we're like, this isn't it. These songs stink. Like let's try this again. Let's get James and let's do a band and we're gonna do something else that we like to do that's not whatever the modern was. We love Mogwai, we love post rock. Let's try to do some post rock stuff. So me, Chesko, and James.
There's recordings of this, right?
Yep. Yeah, we did.
I remember this explosions in the sky kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we're just trying to go down that avenue. We recorded General George up in a Douglaston at whatever that studio was, and we got
General Studios. That was his place.
It was literally called General Studios. Yeah, sick.
Yeah,
and yeah, did a couple of songs with him. Got Vinnie McAuliffe in on a song or two, and then yeah, then I don't know. I just kind of I went on with Brand New. James passed away. So that was the end of that, obviously. And then some years later, like 2009, Chesko shows me a couple of tunes that he sang and played guitar on, which he only previously played drums, and I thought they were awesome. And I was just like, let me help you. Let me, let's play, write some tunes together. So, yeah, that was that same deal. We did one song with Mike Sapone, who is the producer for Brand New. Got circulated that song a bunch in like '09, and then I would say that was honestly a fast track band where we had stuff handed to us right away. Like we got a tour. Neil Rubenstein became our tour manager, booking agent, booked us a tour basically right after we announced being a band. We didn't even have a full band yet. Now all of a sudden, obviously because it's like, oh, that guy that kind of plays in Brand New and whatever. Like, so like, getting like, even though it's not like advertised, it was still obviously like, that's why we're getting opportunities. And anyway, yeah, we like did like a few tours and got signed to Tooth and Nail Records like within like a year or something of being a band. Like it was insane. Like we met our now bass player and drummer. I met them on the first night of the tour because I was still touring full time with Brand New, and I was like,
oh wow,
yeah. So I was like,
so were they rehearsing before that, and then they just came to meet up? Okay,
yeah, and then like I like got like literally like got off of one tour, the next day started the next tour. But so that basically yeah, the genesis of me and Chesko was basically we just liked playing together, and he wrote some rad songs, and then like I don't know, it just kind of like snowballed pretty quickly into like different cool opportunities. And so I tried to do Sainthood Rups as much as I could while doing Brand New. And then eventually Brand New took us on tour, and we got other tour offers. And then yeah, after I left Brand New in like 2013, kind of shortly after, Sainthood Reps also disbanded. And yeah, like Yanni, our bass player, joined this band Caspian, which is a post rock band. They're amazing, which Sainthood Reps toured a lot with. And like so he transitioned over to them. And then Sainthood Reps also toured with this band Tiger's Jaw, and I became close with them. So after Brand New, I toured with Tiger's Jaw for a couple of years, and that was a lot of fun. I replaced one of their main singer songwriters, Adam, who had left the band at that time. And
so you were Sainthood Reps too, I guess. You were the old guy in both of those bands.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Reunion Show where you were the young buck.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you were the old veteran.
Yeah. That's time has a funny way of all of a sudden, yeah, you're the old guy. I really felt it in Tiger's Jaw. That was like,
Yeah.
yeah, like the age gap between us, I think is like 9 years on some of us. So it was like, while I'm going through like my early 30s, like the classic musician
You're
thing
buying
of
them
like,
beer.
yeah, well, the classic like every musician has this, like 30 is that societal benchmark of like what am I doing with my life?
Oh yeah.
And so you really feel that pressure. And then so yeah, like I don't know, being like a man in my young 30s and you know, kind of feeling like I'm starting over. I just left a really big band and Tiger's Jaw is great. They're selling out shows, they're doing their own thing and but I was a little older than them and I was very close to them as friends. Um, but I don't know, I just kind of had this like it was really hitting me hard of like the I'm 30 whatever, what am I doing in my life? Am I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
gonna be in a band? Am I gonna just keep doing this forever? And yeah, I don't know. So I decided to make a change after that. Yeah.
So yeah, Tiger's Jaw, and then really you're just kind of more settling for the first time really in your life, kind of settling into kind of a normal 9 to 5 sort of existence.
Yeah. Yeah,
You begin bartending at that point, right?
right. So in Brand New, I was bartending. So my situation in Brand New, I wasn't getting I was a paid per show guy and they had turned into a band that was touring full time, let's say, like 200 days a year to maybe if they played like 30 or 40 shows a year, that would be a lot. So, I had like 300 days of not making any money. So I had to supplement myself by, playing in another band, bartending. I worked at a boat yard one summer that rocked. But yeah, so I just did like odd jobs and stuff, but started bartending, learned a lot about beer. I was passionate about craft beer at the time. That was like 2010, 11. Carried that passion with me. And then after, while I was in Tiger's Jaw, I was contemplating opening up like a craft beer shop and like a small little shop. And then through there, John Kelly put me in touch with this guy in Long Beach that owned a beer distributor. And then he offered, for me to come in as a partner on that and so then yeah, I transitioned out of music and found myself at the beer distributor like 20 years later.
Full circle.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah.
So also a little bit later down the line, you open a rehearsal studio
Hmm.
down in Long Beach. So how did that come about?
Yeah. It was same so I have the beer store and a few doors down from there the landlord of the beer store has this other building and he had these like vacant office spaces and just I asked him what's going on with these things, can I use them? And yeah, so we worked out a deal and I just really wanted, my only goal was to really just have a free place to play that was like close by to work because I work so much. So got these spots, knocked down a couple of walls, didn't really do too much to the place, and just got like some local friends to come join. I think Family Dinner was the first band, American Slobs was the second band, and then um if you remember oh man, I can't think of his last name right now, but Jeff from West Hempstead, who was like Alicia Napoli's Jeff
Jeff
Meyer.
Meyer.
Thank you. Jeff.
So this fucking bizarre. Where in a Rich Jacobina story, rest in peace, Rich, you're the best ever. There was a time I went to a party at Christian McKnight's house with him, his Mikey, and Loretta. Jeff Meyer walks into a room and he's like, "Who are you?" He was the guy. He always got into fights at
He
shows.
was
Jeff
combative,
Meyer,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "Oh, we're the Jacobinas. Who are you?" He's like, "I'm Jeff Meyer." And Rich went, "Holy shit, the Jeff Meyer." And he was like, "Yeah, you know."
That's awesome. Yeah, Jeff was like
That's funny.
so Jeff became like a later in life, like in the current days. I don't know exactly what he does, but he's like a artist, designer, I think he was trying his hand at surfboard shaping, and so he
Okay.
wound up using one of my studio rooms to practice his surfboard shaping craft. So
At a
yeah, so
workshop.
there's just like fiberglass and stuff like all over the place. It was not good probably for
Mhm.
anybody else, but anyway, but yeah, Jeff was funny. He like when he got introduced into the Lindenhurst thing through Alicia, him and Alicia's cousin
Yeah.
Sean, they were like
Hmm.
like well, I was like, West Hempstead is crazy. These guys are crazy. They were just like, yeah, they were just like
Yeah.
trying to fight you over nothing.
It's fucked
Yeah,
up. My father's family is from West Hempstead too. Went to high school with
right.
Alicia's
Oh,
parents.
wild. That's cool. Yeah. But yeah, so then yeah, we did so it's like Jeff, the Slobs, family dinner and these guys that ran the Kookaburra coffee shop in Rockville Center, they had a band. And then and then eventually Jeff moved out and Somerset Thrower moved in to where Jeff was. And then Sainthood Reps and Somerset kind of split that room for a while.
Right.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was cool. But that just recently disbanded the studio, RIP. Bands don't like to pay for rooms if they have free free places otherwise, which I'm
Of
all
course.
about
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah,
Times are tight for
Can't
everyone.
blame him
Yeah.
for that.
that was my gig. I didn't want to pay for a room.
So how has beer changed in the 30 years since you started
Well,
working there?
yeah, if you
There's a
remember,
lot more of it.
there's an insane it literally changes. So it's been 7 years since I've owned the store, and just seeing how things have changed on a year to year basis, like just like different fads like uh not your father's hard root beer.
The hard
Well,
seltzer fads
before
of
that, like the
yeah.
first thing I remember when I came in, not your father's hard root beer, that thing would fly by the pallet. You couldn't get it. It was like a white whale. If you got it, people are
Wow.
calling the store. Boom, boom, boom. It must have been like 6 months, 8 months later. No one wanted it anymore, and like you couldn't get rid of this stuff, and it made no sense because everybody wanted it. Now you can't. Now nobody wants
Well,
it. And then
everybody got sick off it and swore it off, probably.
right, yeah, probably
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
gnarly stomach ache.
Once they made
Yeah,
enough of it, no one
yeah. And
wanted
then
it.
the hard seltzer craze. That was like you know, it was funny that the people that embraced it did really well at first, and the people that didn't, were a little behind the eight ball. But it was like, some people like hard seltzer, another fad like Not Your Father's, not going to stick around. Give it a summer, that's it, it's over. And
Hmm.
then obviously, White,
Everyone does it now.
yeah,
Yeah.
White Claw's a staple. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I remember me and John worked together. There's literally only like three craft beers. Essentially, it was like Sierra Nevada,
Right.
Brooklyn, Red Dog, like
Uh-huh.
maybe like
Red
Right.
Yingling.
dog.
And even like there were only a handful of imports that they
Yeah,
stocked too. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Dinkel was
Your
huge. They
fucking
don't even make Dinkel
Dinkel
anymore. Well,
yeah.
yeah, that was huge. Uh,
Honey Brown
ooh,
was a
Honey
big
Brown,
one then.
yeah,
I don't know if they
Oh
make
yeah,
that
yeah.
yeah,
still.
yeah. Um,
Uh-huh.
um, Beck's Oktoberfest was like a real treat. That doesn't exist anymore.
But that was like the bonus one to your regular
That's right, the
Becks,
bonus Beck's, yeah.
St.
That's
Pauli
still
girl
around. She's
or the St. Pauli girl NA for your fancy
she's still
sober
kicking
man.
around, you know.
Do people buy wine coolers anymore?
Yeah, wine cooler. Well, in
Okay.
our day it was Bartles and James,
Bartles and James or
Zima.
Seagrams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zima.
Zima.
But yeah, those all got replaced kind of by like Seagrams and Mike's Hard and
Right. The Smirnoff Ice in that came out when we were working at Beverage Land. That was like the first
oh
wave
wow.
of those things.
Yeah,
Before like bros getting iced. Smirnoff Ice just came out and Mike's Hard Lemonade
right.
just came out and the fucking Twisted Tea or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Dude, Long Beach loves Twisted Tea. They like it's
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
It's what do you call it? It's gluten free.
Is it?
Yeah, I have an aunt that has. I can't think of the name. My aunt has celiac,
Right.
and she is also an alcoholic. So hand in
Yeah.
hand.
Is celiac
Yeah, I
run
don't
in
know.
Long Beach for some reason?
No, it's just a volleyball beach crowd
Gotcha.
preferred drink of the, put it in your Yeti cup and
Spike the
Yeah.
ball and the
Yeah.
tee.
Wow. Yeah. You just made the new slogan. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
eventually you get back into writing some music of your own, and kind of full circle again from you and I in my basement trying to make trip hop ambient kind of experimental
Yeah.
stuff. You start Gristmill. How
Yeah.
does that come about?
Gristmill. So when I did the store, I really thought I wouldn't find music again, and I put my guitar away and had this whole morning process of wow, music is behind me. I'm now like a civilian. I'm working a job,
Yeah.
and this is and I was really grateful for the opportunity, but it was like this huge loss of like wow, music is really over for me. That's it. It's done.
It was your identity.
Which
Yeah.
yeah, I'd spent almost 20 years fully committed to, touring and all that. And um anyhow, so yeah, I literally didn't strum a guitar for like a year. But like I never even like wherever I moved from like Astoria, Queens to Rockville Center, and when that move happened, I just never took my guitar out of the case. Anyway, start getting back into it. And then I just sort of had this sort of like sort of like relearning who I was, and I went down in my MacBook and went through like all these old tunes and just kind of like started like hearing riffs and picking stuff out, and then just naturally, because um you're like recording and or whatever, like one guy in a laptop, you're gonna like, I don't know, unless your intention is to like play something fast and whatever, you're gonna just start making like slow ambient things. At least that's where I go naturally on like a laptop.
Yeah, without a live drummer, yeah, it's hard to get into
The
something
last
heavier
episode
and
that we
more,
taped, we were talking about the whole like hip hop meeting emo thing that's going on right now.
Uh-huh.
And that's very
Yeah.
much like a bedroom, like kid with a laptop type of vibe,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
I love that. That's like like, yeah, it's obviously oversaturated because it's at everyone's fingertips,
Yeah.
but it is a great expressive tool, and it's allows anyone to facilitate their own expressionism.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, yeah, without having the intention of like I'm writing a Sainthood rep song and it's got to be loud, and like I was just doing whatever I wanted to do on the laptop, just messing around and picking old riffs and seeing if I can incorporate something into whatever I was doing, and yeah, a lot of them became like they were like reject like Sainthood rep songs, or ideas at least, that then I just like further flushed out. I was like, well, shoot, I got like, I was like, let me record this one tune with Mike Sapone. I was like, let me, and then I liked the way that went, and that snowballed into like, I eventually like recorded an EP, the first EP for Gristmill, that unfortunately came out the same week as the pandemic happened. Like it
Mm.
was like literally, I think the same day that they like shut down everything was the day I
Coincidence?
dropped. That's right. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, those tunes were like the ethos of them were it was just really supposed to be self-serving, just what felt good and natural, and not worrying about lengths of songs or even structure, sometimes just being like more free form, um and just kind of trying to go in some new sonic territories that I've never got to explore. um so I just was trying to take the opportunity of like having a new project and exploring different avenues that I haven't gotten to, like that beloved tape, that beloved
Yeah.
lost tape.
And you
But
have performed a couple times live as well.
yes, mostly at the Massapequa VFW, which is
Yeah.
about 30 seconds from my house, so it's the greatest commute.
Right on.
Um, but yeah, yeah, but yeah, just getting back into it now. I released a song in March. I have another one coming out April 28th, and then I have a EP that I collaborated with Nick from Family Dinner, and we have an EP coming out under the title for Gristmill. That's coming out in June, and playing a couple of really cool shows in June. That I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but they'll be announced by the time this podcast's out. But
Cool.
So I'm excited for that. That'll be fun.
And
yeah,
eventually Sainthood reps did get back and start playing shows again, kind of like on a part-time basis. Did you record any new music with them?
Yeah, we did a couple of tunes, I think in 2018.
Right, yeah.
And then same deal, man, like pandemic, was what it was, and here we are on the other side. And we actually we're jumping in the studio in a couple of weeks, and we're hoping to release a couple of songs this summer, and we have a full length that we've we've gotten together a bunch over the last few years, and other than some sporadic shows, we weren't able to make much of it. And now, we have a more than a full length's worth of material that we're really excited about, and we're hoping to release some stuff and play some gigs. Yeah.
So it's going to be a busy summer for you, probably.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. We'll see.
Cool.
But that's how I like it.
Bringing it back to Lindenhurst now, as you know, we close the show out with the best and worst of the Hearst. So we've been talking for a while now, so I'm just going to let you kind of freeform it. Like, what are your favorite spots to eat, favorite spots to hang out?
Yeah.
Favorite things about Lindenhurst and least favorite things?
Yeah. I loved, as mentioned before, I loved hanging out underneath those lights in on John Street at that church. It's like these purple and red lights. It just had such like a perfect, I don't know, vibe.
Yeah.
I would just like sit there, for lack of better words, and like meditate and like smoke a joint with whoever and hang out. I thought that was a great little like Zen hang. Yeah, I never did like the shoe or any of those places. Kind of sucked. I loved Zahn's Park was weird. But that was a classic like kid hang. A lot of weird porn hanging around in there. That was awkward. Yeah, the best pizza, I'm old school, so Imperial was my jam until I met Roma later on in high school.
Yep.
And then always hated Stella. The pizza might have been okay, but they used to like steal our women. They would give all our high school girls alcohol and drugs and hook up with them. So that sucked because you're trying to hang out with a girl, and now the Stella Pizzeria guys.
You can't compete with a pizza place.
Yeah, they got free pizza and booze. Are you kidding me? What is this? Hate you, Stella.
Everything
I was never happier than when Stella closed. And yeah, I'm a champion of small business, but that really, really got under my skin. And I had asked my mom in preparation for this podcast of what was I was like, I don't remember our Chinese spot. What was our Chinese spot? And she was like, she said we were too poor usually to get Chinese food. So we would go to Tang's. That was like our special treat, which I do remember. And I remember Tang's to me was like fine dining because they had white tablecloths. And I was like, first time I'd ever seen like a white tablecloth on a restaurant. And I was like, oh man. But I know people been slamming Tang's on here, but I thought Tang's was like out of this world good. Yeah.
Tang's was mysterious to me because like the signage was just so aggressive and like you couldn't really see inside. It's like, what's going on in there?
If you went in there when it opened in 1981 or whatever, it was probably the coolest looking fucking place you've ever seen in your life. But as time went on and the sign aged on the outside, it looked like when you walk into somebody's kitchen and it hasn't been redone since 1971.
Right. Yeah, that has a charm though.
Like a place frozen in time in the middle of fucking wherever. I never went in there as a child. I'd only gone in there like in my adulthood with Chris Smith and Frank Trafficani, ironically enough.
They did work there
because they were like, you got to go to Tang's.
Right? Yeah.
I think Chris did. I don't know if Frank did, but yeah.
Yeah, Tang's was like this to me, like a haven of like wow, this is this is fine dining here. I'm at Tang's. You're like
That's a thing I have with places in Lindenhurst, like buildings I've passed, but I've never walked inside. And to me, it's just like it's some weird fucking like fantasy factory on the inside, but it's probably just a doctor's office or fucking nothing, you know?
I had a question for you guys.
Uh-huh.
What is your favorite 7-Eleven?
Okay.
Favorite 7-Eleven?
Ooh. This is the tough one. So to me, the one I spent the most time in, my family also moved around a fair amount in Lindenhurst. When we lived on Burrs Avenue, which is like by Kellum, the one on 109 across the street from the police precinct right there. That was my 7-Eleven that I spent the most time.
I used to hit that on the way to practice a lot. So that's probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That I grew up down the block from one, which is probably the worst one. The one next to Ballard.
Yeah. I wasn't really a fan of that one. Yeah.
The Raw one knew my family in and out because my aunt and uncle lived like a block away from Raw, and I also lived over there for some time, so they knew my mother and stuff. But the 109 one was the one for me.
Yeah, the Raw one, I'm very partial to. As a kid, I got like amazing baseball cards from there. I literally got a
Hell yeah, and there were baseball card stores right across the street from Raw too over there.
Yeah, this is before I was like, you know, old enough to go to RSC, whatever it's called, to get like you know, with my friends, like, you know, when you're just on an errand with
when you're little, your mom walks you past whatever on the way home.
I want the gum in the package, you know what I'm saying? But I got a Michael Jordan rookie card out of one of those things. It turns out it's not it's not one of the expensive ones, but it's one of him playing it's like a hybrid card. It's like he's like in a White Sox uniform on one side, and then, you know, on the Bulls on the other.
Okay.
But yeah, that was cool. But anyway,
I was gonna say you were 2 years old when he was a rookie.
That's what I'm saying.
So
like, it literally is like
so,
you know, a throwaway here, kid, have it. You know, like But yeah, I think the Green Street 7-Eleven is that one, and I really did a lot of great things at that 7-Eleven. A lot of things happened there.
What's the grand total in Lindenhurst for 7-Elevens? Is it like 6?
I think it might be more. Wellwood 109, Green, Wellwood and Hoffman, Montauk Highway, Bauer by your house, Montauk Highway in Delaware. I stopped counting.
That's 5 so far.
Yeah, 5 too. I mean, for the square mileage of Lindenhurst, that's insane. You know,
there should be a Guinness record for that.
Should be.
Cool. And favorite band from Lindenhurst?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Silent Majority, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But if there's a 1A, it's got to be Mind Over Matter.
Yeah.
Just has to be.
Yeah, they edged it out for me for number 1, but of course, you know.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Silent Majority.
See why.
Yeah.
But yeah, just in totality, it's weird, you know, like Mind Over Matter kind of is like the band's thing where it's like, you know, they influence everyone who's a musician. Like everyone's like, no, let's, you know, it's Mind Over Matter. But
Silent Majority are for the people.
Yeah, they are, you know, but artistically just as strong, you know, like Rich's, you know, and Ben, like they're like, what are they doing? They're insane like,
drumming,
you know. So good. But yeah, you know, and then like, who doesn't love Neglect though? That's just incredible. You know, like
the knock joke of bands.
They're like becoming the dark horse now, like of all the new generation of like super heavy bands. Like they're all getting down with Neglect, so they're probably going to have a huge comeback if they decide to. Yeah,
it's insane, and I'm here for it. I'm
totally.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, I guess that brings us to our closing question. If you could describe Lindenhurst to somebody who's never been, what would you tell them?
Ooh. I kind of think it's like sort of like Springfield from The Simpsons, where it's like a lot of like, you know, people coming in with great ideas, met with a lot of roadblocks of, you know, I'm talking about present day Lindy. You where, you know, someone's coming with a monorail and they're like, not in our town, get out of here.
Were you sent here by the devil?
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, all these restaurants and shops are trying to open up, and like when the downtown was literally vacant, and
Yeah.
there's so much opposition by so many different, partly government, part people, and it was so strange to see. You're like, why do you not want this to be here? This is good for everyone. And they're just like, I don't like it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what you.
We lost the business. We lost the business last week. Rest in peace, Island Empanada.
Oh, no way.
Bummer.
We hardly knew you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough.
They still have other locations and food trucks. They just got the fuck out of Lindenhurst.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard to be a food business, especially. But yeah, but then, how I always describe Lindenhurst to people on tour and stuff was it's really at the belt of it. It's like very like hardworking, weathered like people, they're angry, but they got a heart of gold, because they're like,
but they vote against their own interests.
They're just tired and angry because they're working so hard, but there's a little bit of everything. Like it wasn't always just that, but it was. I think when I think of Lindenhurst, I think of like really hardworking, good people, and yeah, it was I grew up really poor, so I have like a different perspective on it. But as you traverse the Lindenhurst land and you realize there's, people with amazing houses on the water, people in Northlandy, Section 8, this, that, the third, it really is very diverse, and it's cool. It's a definitely unique little spot.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on. This was
I
awesome.
love you guys.
Yeah.
Great to see
Love
you.
you too, brother.
Please, if you find any tapes or anything, please send it to me.
Yeah. Absolutely.